Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting night of Norristown Area High School Eagles football. Dave Fazzini once again coming at you for the final game of the season with my partner in crime, Mark Kolodinsky. And we are here at exciting BENSALEM Memorial Stadium in a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood with a beautiful night for football. The only thing not so beautiful, Mark, the records of the two teams that are meeting here tonight, November 7th, for the final game of both of the teams' seasons.
Both teams falling short of their playoff aspirations. So this is going to be the final game at all for some of these seniors who may not be playing at the next level. So despite being out of the playoff races, this game definitely means a lot to some of these kids. So you're going to see a lot of intensity tonight, I think.
I think there's going to be an awful lot of intensity, and as you look out and you're watching these two teams warm up, one of the things that I'm struck by, especially from Norristown, is the senior leadership. I mean, they've had a few disappointing losses, including last week's 34-0, frankly, meltdown against Upper Moreland. That game was hard to sit through, frankly, all of that game, and it just got really bad at the end. But one of the things that you have to give Norristown credit for is that their seniors didn't give up. Their seniors were in school this week with good heart, good spirits, fired up about this week's game, and as you said, it's going to be many of their last games. So the juniors look to learn from this experience tonight at BENSALEM, and the seniors look to make their mark and make their last night as a Norristown Area High School Eagles football player a memorable one.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful day here, unseasonably warm here in November, and we'll see if Sheldon Mayer can get it back on track for the Eagles. He's definitely been struggling over the past couple of weeks. James Ramsey coming off of a 131-yard passing game, but again, they didn't put up any points, so they'll hope to rectify those problems.
Mayer's struggles really have been a big problem for the Eagles. In the first few games of this season, the Eagles relied on Mayer so much, and he was able to come out to some really explosive starts and get some really good games going. 100-yard game after 200-yard game after 200-plus-yard game. He's still one of the three leading rushers in the area behind Josh Mastromato. Sheldon Mayer, is one of the leading rushers in the area with 1,075 yards. But he had a precipitous decline in his last few games, and there are several factors for this. One, the offensive line just not really able to get things done. They're not surging off the ball. They're not staying low. They're not keeping their heads in the game. And, Mark, tonight, what have the Eagles got to do to make sure that Sheldon Mayer is a success and that he's a real highlight here at BENSALEM Stadium?
Well, one thing I think that they have to do, is give this BENSALEM defense a lot of different looks. Put Sheldon Mayer out at wide receiver, as we see them do, and throw him the ball short. See if you can break him that way. Run to the outside. That is absolutely his strength and the strength of his team. Running to the outside, trying to break off big gains. And I really think that it's just going to come down to if he can get it going early. If he can get a big run early, get things going. I think that's definitely going to be the most important factor.
And Norristown's defense has also got a lot to contend with tonight. Quarterback number 7. Ron Vogelai is an important leader for the BENSALEM Fighting Owls, and Tom Vogelai, his brother, one of their leading wide receivers. So look for the two-brother combination, the brothers Vogelai, to hook up a lot this evening and give the Norristown Eagles defense some fits, or at least try to. The Eagles have had some problems stopping the pass, so it'll be interesting to see what their defense, led by senior Curtis Haley, Mike Good, and Sam Kellijor, can do tonight. That's it for the pregame here. Mark and I will be back at you very soon for some exciting Norristown versus BENSALEM football action. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with exciting football action. Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky here with you from historic BENSALEM Memorial Stadium. And I guess tonight, we're going to find out what these seniors for Norristown are really made of in a game where it really does mean nothing in terms of playoff implications. This is the time when seniors find out if they can make the best of their last moments here as Norristown Area High School football players. And Mark, we talked about it before during the pregame show about sometimes how players can feel a sense of futility and despair when they know that they have nothing to play for. So if you're a senior here for Norristown Area High School, what do you play for?
Well, if I'm a senior, I just think about all the memories over my football career and think about about 3 months from now how you're going to look back on it. And just remember that you might not know how good something is until it's gone. So they need to play their hearts out and regret nothing.
That's very true. And what they really are going to do tonight is hopefully establish that running game earlier with, incidentally, a junior with Sheldon Mayer. So getting Sheldon Mayer started and getting him off in a big way is going to be really important for the Norristown Eagles. So Mayer goes, so do the fortunes of the Eagles. We've said this before, and in games where he hasn't done well, frankly, Mark, they have not done anything.
Yeah, and we talked about his struggles, and of course, with no chance at the playoffs, it's not, you think it might not be important for Mayer to do anything, but in reality, he's a junior and he's coming back next year, and to get some kind of momentum for a year from now, that seems far away, but believe me, big game right here could definitely do at least a little something for you coming into next year. You don't want to open next season coming off a bunch of straight 50-yard games. You want to be coming off of a strong game.
Yeah, you want to come off a strong game, and you want to hit that off-season. I mean, it's about hitting the off-season hard. You got to hit the weight room in the off-season. You have to hit the conditioning in the off-season, and you really, in the off-season is where you grow and gel. It's an interesting dynamic what happens to football teams as they're coming off their last games because the seniors still are there in the school. I mean, seniors don't graduate till June. So coming off your last game, it's the seniors after the football season who are going to help some of the younger guys down in the weight room, talking to them about their experiences 4 years playing high school football. They're going to talk to them about being varsity players. I mean, Curtis Haley, Sam Kellijor, Mike Good, Jimmy Gallagher. These guys have been the cornerstone of a strong offense and strong defense for their last few years here. And Kellijor has been a varsity football player for the last 3 years, coming from getting special teams time his 10th grade season to being a starter both last year and this year. So these guys have a lot of wisdom to impart to some of their younger counterparts, and it's imperative that no matter win or lose this game, the Eagles are able to have a seamless transition into the offseason and beyond with those impressive juniors they have coming up.
And they definitely have to do that win or loss, but it still is a lot easier to show enthusiasm and after a win. So we'll see what happens tonight. Captains have already talked to the officials, and BENSALEM has taken the field, and we're just about ready to go.
We're going to see the impressive Ian Hammer and the inconsistent Norristown kick coverage team. Hammer has been routinely impressive, but the kick coverage team, it's been feast or famine. 1 minute forcing a turnover, the next minute giving up unbelievable gains on the kick coverage. So we'll see what Norristown's able to do tonight, and Hammer is going to set the tone. Incidentally, Thor is the hammer god in Viking culture, so we'll see if Hammer can strike with the thunder of the gods here with his first blast. Indeed it is.
Kicks it on a line, and it takes a hop at the 1 and through the end zone. So Hammer does exactly that, and BENSALEM will start at the 20.
The hammer god Thor strikes first, kicking the ball out of the end zone and putting BENSALEM at their own 20-yard line to start it off.
So that's one way to hide your weakness in kick coverage. Kick it out of the end zone.
Eagles defense looks to come out and be aggressive here tonight. I was talking to Coach Brian Kennedy, and he was telling me about a few tricks he has up his sleeve, including perhaps some blitzing coming from the secondary. So tonight, they've got to pull out all the stops and bring the heat. Bring it early.
Cameron LaSalle is the senior running back for these BENSALEM Fighting Owls, and Ron Vogelai is the quarterback, also a senior. And they begin it with a pass. Vogelai throwing it deep, and he does not hit his intended target, Jerry Davis, on the play. So the BENSALEM Owls come out throwing it deep, but to no avail.
That is a scary moment there for Norristown as they see that number 4, Jerry Davis, has got some impressive speed. He had a step on Roby, and that is not customary. Roby generally is able to run with any of the receivers in the area, but that time Davis had him beat. If I'm BENSALEM, I go right back to that and see what happens because Davis definitely had a step.
Vogelai backs into a shotgun. He's got 3 wide receivers and 1 back beside him. He receives the snap. He'll look to run, going to his right. He's to the 25 and knocked out of bounds there by Sam Kellijor. So a 5-yard pickup by Ron Vogelai on the ground.
Vogelai had a lot of rushing yards in last week's game, and he also threw for a big gain. So because of this, they look to replicate the success of the weeks gone by.
So they'll come out once again in that same formation with 3 wide receivers and only LaSalle as a running back. Vogelai takes the snap, looks to throw once again. He's dancing, and now he pulls it down and runs it up to about the 29. So we'll see if he's got a first down. It'll be close.
Marcus Robbins showing a little bit of closing speed there, but Vogelai's obviously a lot faster than Robbins. Marcus Robbins, number 65, and one of those impressive juniors we're talking about, 6 feet tall, 285 pounds. So he's some of the thunder in the middle of that Eagles defensive line.
So we have yet to see BENSALEM utilize Cameron LaSalle, their running back. Normally, we see high school teams depend heavily on the run, but you talked about how dangerous Vogelai can be. And we've seen it so far as they've called 3 plays designed for him, and they have a first down. In the shotgun, now he wants to run again. He'll take it outside, and he just gets back to the line of scrimmage, so that time not happening for Vogelai as the Eagles' fast defense closes in on him.
Well, that direct snap to the quarterback and then him running off tackle from the shotgun position is really the bread and butter of the BENSALEM offense. I mean, that's what they do. That's their signature like power move. So if they have one thing that's really the hallmark of their offense, it's the running quarterback game.
But it's for that reason that I feel the Eagles match up well with them. They have a lot of defensive speed, as we've mentioned time and time again, and it's hard to run outside on them, especially with a quarterback, even a fast one like Vogelai. Second and a long 9. Vogelai rolls out, throws near sideline, and it's through the hands of his brother, Tom Vogelai. So can't hit his receiver, and it's third down.
Risky move by Donalfi there, going for the pick instead of playing the ball. Donalfi got lucky that went through Vogelai's hands. The Vogelai to Vogelai connection is very, very popular and famous around these parts. So, like we said in the pregame, he's looking to hook up with his brother every opportunity. His brother had a step on Anthony Donalfi. Anthony Donalfi took a risk, but Vogelai dropped it. Otherwise, he'd have been scorched.
Perhaps he maybe even just got a finger on that ball just to misdirect it a little bit, so that Vogelai couldn't concentrate on it fully. So we've yet to see them call a run play for Cameron LaSalle. Here is Vogelai to throw once again. There's a flag on the play. Vogelai brings it down, looks to run. Picks up about half of what he needed. We're going to look at the flag. It's in the area of a hold, so we will see.
Impressive hit by Kellijor, but too little too late. A lot of yardage on that one. BENSALEM looks real tentative about moving the ball, and they're not calling the run. So it's a wonder that they're not going to that stud running back, Cameron LaSalle.
Yeah, they've called a bunch of passes and a bunch of designed runs, all for Ron Vogelai. So they obviously have a lot of trust in him. Let's see, there's a holding call on the play, and do the Eagles want to give them 3rd and long, or do they want to just take the 4th and short and take their chances and hope that they don't go for it and make it on 4th down? Let's see what they do.
The Eagles' defense has been woefully inconsistent on 4th and short. In fact, actually, that's the wrong term. They've been consistent. They've given up the run up the middle. Teams know from watching films against Norristown that they're susceptible to the run up the middle, not to the outside. So what I do if I'm Norristown is I definitely take that penalty and push him back, because a run up the middle there with a back like LaSalle, you're not going to stop him on 4th down.
The BENSALEM Owls like to pass, though, and they're going to need to right here. 3rd and 19, as the Eagles accept the penalty rather than take the 4th and about 3. It's a tough decision to make. Let's see if they made the correct one. In the pros, it's an easy choice to decline it, but high school, different game.
Much different.
Here's Vogeli with 4 wide receivers spreading out the defense. And now they hand it off to LaSalle. And he's got a couple, but it's not close to enough, so we're going to see a punt by BENSALEM.
They just wanted to give their punting team some more room there. You look at that 3rd and 19 as somewhat inevitable. They're not going to pick it up. So, oh well.
Yeah, no reason to risk throwing an interception or taking a fumble. 4th and 20. 9 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Sheldon Mayer back deep to return the kick for the Eagles. The punt is relatively short, takes a bounce, and rolls just short of midfield. So the Eagles get good starting field position. They will begin the drive just into BENSALEM territory.
Now, Norristown's first drives have been a real like a weather vane of sorts, like to predict which way it was going to go. So you can kind of read the way the rest of the game is going to go based on how Norristown's first drives have been. Early in the season, the first drives were confident. Offensive line surging off the ball. Sheldon Mayer picking up swaths of yardage with every turn. In the last couple of games, that just hasn't happened, and Mayer's been shut down. So we'll see what happens as far as Mayer is concerned on this first drive as Ramsey about to take the snap.
Ramsey under center with good in motion, and it's handed off to Mayer. Breaks the tackle and gets to about the 46, a gain of about 4.
They're unconventional, but Mayer bounces it out, picks up some yards. Looked like he was going to be stopped for nothing, and Mayer, as he does, picks up a few.
So that'll bring up a 2nd and 6 situation. Of course, last week, Sheldon Mayer failed to break 100 yards again. James Ramsey, however, 131 yards. So we'll see if they can continue that success in the passing game. Of course, costly interceptions and sloppy play in the red zone doomed the Eagles. But we'll see if it could be a different story this week. Mayer goes into a cloud and does not get out. Give him about 2.
Yeah, short pickup there for Mayer. Not quite sure what's going on here with the Eagles so far. Maybe they're going to try something like a pass, maybe a screen pass, getting it out to Mayer here, just to break things up. Or maybe throw into Roby or Good on the outside.
You got so many weapons for a threat to go the distance every time they get the ball. So just over 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. We have an official timeout on the field before the Eagles face 3rd and 6. They're going to line up Sam Kellijor at the fullback position. So, he'll actually be the tailback with Sheldon Mayer going into the slot to become a wide receiver. Now he's in motion. 3rd and 6. Ramsey drops back to throw, rolls out, looks to run, and he's brought down just short of the marker. So that looks like it's going to bring up a 4th and short unless his second effort got him across.
I guess he doesn't see anything open when he's dropping back, and it didn't look like he had all that many options. Ramsey did the pump fake, and then he went to run, and he's been going to that real quickly. I mean, he's been looking maybe 1, maybe 2 receivers, but after that, he tucks it down and runs.
And it's effective at times, but, of course, perhaps you feel he does it a little bit too much.
Sometimes a little too much. He does have some dangerous weapons on the outside, and Ramsey does have a big arm, as he showed last week with that 130-plus yard game. He's just got to have a little more confidence in these guys sometimes.
Well, on 4th and 1, it looks like the Eagles have taken the timeout, and unsurprisingly going for it on 4th down, at least at this point. And I guess they're just going to get things straightened out on the sideline during this timeout.
Yeah, that's the right move here, going forward on 4th and 1. You saw that BENSALEM most assuredly would have picked it up. They would have gone for it and probably picked it up. Norristown's just looking to do the same thing here. Just a question, though. Norristown really doesn't have the big back. Mac Ortiz, number 31, is 6'1", 230, but he doesn't get too many touches. Then your choices are Kellijor or Mayer. Neither one of them is a big pounder inside, so you really have to think about where you're going to go with that. I mean, we've seen Angelo Berry get a few carries, especially earlier in the season. He's run the ball with great success. But Angelo Berry is 5'8", 140 pounds. He's definitely no bruiser inside.
If I'm E.J. Smith or the Eagles coaching staff, I'd go with a sneak.
Yeah, Ramsey, 6'2", big guy, able to run it. He could tuck it down, and he could definitely pick up the yard necessary. It's just a matter of getting a big surge on the part of the interior of that Eagles offensive line.
Yeah, and those halfbacks that you talk about, really, the entire team is kind of like that. Big play. They're not the type of team that picks up 1 yard in these kind of situations, although let's see if they can do it here. They hand it off to Mayer. He's got it and a lot more, and he's gone. Sheldon Mayer to the 5 and crosses the goal line to put the Eagles on the board first. Sheldon Mayer got the 1, and then he got a little more.
That was really bizarre. It seemed as if the last thing the BENSALEM defense expected was a run up the middle, because there was nothing in the middle there. They didn't have a guy over Gallagher. Surge off the ball, opened a huge hole for Sheldon Mayer, and then once he gets that seam, it's off to the races. Not even close.
I think the Fighting Owls just sold out on trying to stop him at the line. And once he crossed that first wave of defenders, there was no one left because they brought everyone up to try to stop him before he got that 1. Very dangerous thing to do. It did not work out. Ian Hammer's extra point is good, and that's exactly what we were saying. Big playability. On defense, it's the turnovers. They're not 100% consistent, but as you can see, every once in a while they do this, and you wonder how they could be 4 and 5.
You wonder how they're a 4 and 5 team. They definitely don't look like a 4 and 5 team. They don't play like a 4 and 5 team. They play like one of two teams. They play like a 10 and 0 team, or they play like an 0 and 10 team. And I guess that's how you arrive at 4 and 5. You arrive at the very pinnacle. You arrive at the very definition of mediocrity by being alternately great and terrible.
So if you're not the type of team that bruises it up the middle for 3 yards here, 4 yards there, just take it all the way on 4th and 1, and that works just as well. And it's 7-0 Eagles here early in the first. So we got just over 6 minutes left to play.
And I'm sure after that debacle last week at Upper Moreland at Roosevelt Field, the Eagles are breathing a sigh of relief getting on the board, and they're feeling pretty good. And it's great to see him get some confidence early.
Yeah, I talked pregame about how important it would be for him to break off a big one early. In the beginning of the season, when he was having all of his success, I felt like every first quarter he'd have a big run or two.
Yep.
So we'll see if that holds tonight. We hope it does. Ian Hammer hits this one to about 20, and it's fielded on a hop by number 4, Jerry Davis. We've seen his speed already. He's going outside to the 20, hesitates, and he goes up ahead to about the 28.
Pretty decent kick coverage there by the Eagles, keeping Davis in their sights. You saw his speed earlier, but they were not willing to let him get to the outside. So good job at contain on the part of the Eagles kick coverage team. And the Eagles have BENSALEM in pretty good position here with the ball on the 29-yard line.
So BENSALEM's average starting field position is right around the 24 or the 25. And for a special teams unit that's struggled, it's definitely good to see that.
Well, Hammer's first kick was very, very impressive.
Here's Vogelai and the rest of his offense, and there's a flag before this play starts. They direct snapped it to Tim Farlow, one of the running backs on this team. He's a junior.
It's like an illegal procedure here.
That's what it is.
False start. Those plays are always bizarre because the offensive line, whenever you do that kind of trickery, the offensive line is always like looking around, and also the wide receiver. With so many people in motion at once, it's very hard to choreograph that precisely. So the chances are you're going to get a penalty if you're not going to get a big play out of it.
So Ron Vogelai, the quarterback, stayed on the sideline for that play as they direct snapped it to the running back. Interesting look, interesting formation, but it never got started. So here comes Ron Vogelai. Surveys the Norristown defense, now takes it, rolls out, throws down the field, and it's caught by number 34, Tom Vogelai. There's that Vogelai to Vogelai connection.
Denofi did the same thing on that play, Mark. He gambled for the pick, not hanging back, took the risk, and that time it burned him. Donalfi matches up well with Vogelai speed for speed. However, he made the risky move there of trying to make that pick, and it just didn't work out. For somebody with a gambling soul like Donalfi, who's willing to take risks to make big plays, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Very similar to like a player like a Asante Samuel on the Philadelphia Eagles. Not necessarily always going to be the best guy man for man, but he gets picks, makes big plays. It's just at that time, Donalfi got burned.
So 1st and 10 for Vogelai and his offense. They're at the 45. Jerry Davis in motion. They hand it to him. He's at midfield, and he gets down to about the 45 of the Eagles. So he goes from 45 to 45 and picks up 10.
A little bit of trickery, actually a lot of trickery. This is offense based on a lot of misdirection. The quarterback is more like the ringmaster as opposed to necessarily the quintessential drop-back passer, which certainly he's not. A lot of rollouts being designed for Vogelai, and a lot of misdirection plays and a lot of trickery. So that's what they do. We've yet to see him take a snap under center.
He sold that fake extremely well. He had me ready to say he faked it to Jerry Davis. But a very unconventional offense. They've only handed it to their halfback, Cameron LaSalle, once, and that was on a 3rd and 19 play where they were just playing it safe. So very unconventional indeed. And here they are in a shotgun formation with 3 wide receivers. They hand it off to LaSalle, and he breaks it to the outside now. He's at the 40, and all the way up to the 35 of the Eagles, right near the marker. And after it looked like they had him wrapped up, he just kept bringing it to the outside and found a lane.
Nice run there by LaSalle, who's 5'10", 180 pounds, which is pretty good size for a high school tailback. He's got some speed, he's got some power, as he showed there at the end of that run, lowering his shoulder and lowering the boom on some of those Eagles defenders who tried to stop him. Very nice run.
The thing I've seen out of this BENSALEM team so far is they're pretty fast. I mean, Norristown, an extremely fast team themselves. But BENSALEM's been able to keep up with them for the most part. You saw Jerry Davis running by Aunt Roby, Vogelai running outside a little bit, and now LaSalle escaping some defenders, running to the outside. So we'll see if that can continue. Here's LaSalle up the middle, picks up 8.
They must have seen something there on that last play, because that's the first snap that Vogelai took under center. So they might get a little more conventional here as they try to probe the underbelly of that Norristown defense and seeing what's going to happen up the middle. And you see here right now that Vogelai looks to take another one under center with that single back look.
He hands it off. LaSalle met at the line, and it looks like he picked up the remaining yardage he needed for the first down.
Norristown's been really good against the pass. Last week they gave up the big play. They gave up the big play on the pass at the end of the first half after that pass interference play. But Norristown's been solid in pass defense. It's their run defense, up the middle especially, that's been really suspect.
So they'll bring out the sticks here for a measurement. And with just under 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, it's Norristown 7 on the long Sheldon Mayer run, and BENSALEM still scoreless.
Again, a really beautiful night here. Very nice accommodations. Beautiful full 8-lane track. Very nice. Grass looks wonderful here at the BENSALEM Memorial Stadium. And looks like, despite what we thought before, where there were going to be no people here, looks like a halfway decent crowd has manifested itself for the last game of the season for the 4 and 6 Owls.
It's good to see from this fan base. Neither team has a chance at making the playoffs, but the fans still supportive. That's definitely good to see.
That shows a lot. I mean, any fans can come out when your team is 9-1 or 10-0. Anybody can come out then. But it's nice to see a fan base that sticks by its team, even when they're not having the most successful season. Because win or lose, these players on the field still need your support.
BENSALEM did not get the first down on that last play. It was 3rd and 1. Now we'll see what it is. As Vogelai looked to sneak it, it wasn't there up the middle, so he kind of did a little dive to the outside. We'll see if he got it. It looks like he only gained about a half a yard, but that may be all he needed.
It looks to be from here a little bit short. Good defense by the interior of that Norristown Eagles defense.
Well, we'll have another measurement. So 4.5 minutes to go.
There's a beach ball here. It looks like that people are ready to have some fun in the sun. A little tribute to summertime, tribute to spring break, perhaps. The beach ball's going around, and everybody looks to be having a pretty good time. Very festive.
Indeed. And they did not get it. It's 4th and 1, so back-to-back measurements for the Owls, and neither time did they get the call to go their way.
Probably going to go to LaSalle here, get him some momentum from that single back set. I don't do anything cute, but yeah, Vogelai's going under center.
The Eagles stacking the line. Got to watch that they don't get burned as the Owls did. So we have 2 straight measurements and now a timeout. So we'll have to wait even further for BENSALEM to attempt to pick up this 1 yard.
Well, they certainly can't punt here. Just a matter of figuring out what they're going to do.
Probably out of field goal range as well. And when it's 4th and about a half yard, if that.
You have to be a Herculean high school kicker to make it from here. This is a 42-yarder.
And with the way these running games are in high school, 4th and about a half a yard, not such a low percentage thing, so not a tough call.
Yeah.
However, this is the 3rd time we've seen a team go for it on 4th down. Of course, the first one didn't really count because the holding penalty erased it, but these teams aren't afraid to go for it on 4th down.
No, both teams have that mentality that when they're short yardage, their running game's going to be able to pick it up for them. And for Norristown, at least, they've been right. I mean, the 1-for-1, brilliant call on 4th down. We'll see what BENSALEM does here.
Yeah, Sheldon Mayer getting that long touchdown run on 4th and 1 last time the Eagles had the ball. BENSALEM will hope to replicate that success.
Different players checking in for BENSALEM. They've got a little bit of a different package here. Looks like they're going to line up in the more traditional I formation. We haven't seen this formation from BENSALEM yet tonight.
2 tight ends, just 1 wide receiver. That's Davis to the outside. The Eagles, everybody in the box. Here is LaSalle trying to go outside, and a great play by Sam Kelliger to grab him from behind. And LaSalle trying to bounce it to the outside, and there's that team speed. You see, Sam Kelliger, definitely one of the main reasons that they have that team speed, and you saw a great example of it right there.
Kelliger brought it there, but that play was really set up by the interior of that Eagles defensive line, who didn't let LaSalle pick up the short. They didn't make it easy for him. Haley and Robbins made LaSalle bounce to the outside, where Sam Kelliger's closing speed just came in and made sure that LaSalle wasn't going to pick that up. Back through him for a loss.
Yeah, he lost about 4 or 5 yards in that play. So now instead of being at the 29, the Eagles will be at the 34. 4:12 to go in the quarter. Good and Roby, the only wide receivers. They hand it off to Mayer, up the middle. He's hit hard and dragged for perhaps a short loss by number 71, Keith Everett.
Good play by Everett on that play. And loss of 2 on that play.
So that'll bring up 2nd and a dozen. Ramsey getting the play in from the sideline. So Sheldon Mayer had that long touchdown run that I thought would set up a lot of success for him later in this game. We'll see if that happens. So far, no good, though, as he loses 2 on this play. Here's Ramsey in the shotgun. Fakes it to Pierce. Now he runs it. He gets to the 40. Still making people miss. There's a flag at the end of the play. He was pushed out of bounds at about the 43, and so a nice play call there. Fake the handoff, run to the outside. And we'll check on the marker, but nice gain there.
It's going to be interesting to see what that call is.
So we'll see what the penalty does to this, but as it stands, and it's an illegal block in the back by the Eagles, so that's going to take them back quite a distance. They would have been about a yard short of a first down or maybe less, but instead they'll have 2nd and long.
Foolish play there, blocking the back. Ramsey really had a good run going, and he was doing well. The block in the back came after Ramsey had already picked up 6 or 7 yards, so it really was unnecessary. I know you have a tendency, you really want to hit somebody, you want to pound them, you want to smash them, but at the same time, if your quarterback's behind, if he's already past you, don't make the block. Don't touch him. Let him go.
Sometimes I feel blockers try to do too much because they're trying to protect whoever the ball carrier may be. They try to do too much and end up hurting their team. Ramsey in a shotgun now. 2nd and 13, so they only lost a yard on the play because it's from the spot of the foul, and Ramsey gets that yard back, perhaps a couple more, as he's taken down at about the 36 or 37.
Very aggressive run for a quarterback. He got a direct snap and then tucked it down, and just ran headlong into the barrage right there. He just tucked it down. He doesn't care about anything right now. Ran right into the thick of BENSALEM's defense.
So both teams calling a number of plays for their quarterbacks to run early. We'll see if that trend continues. For now, 3rd and 9 for the Eagles. Perhaps a passing situation. We will see what they choose to go with. Whistles here, and Norristown takes another timeout. I believe that's their 2nd of the half.
Both teams very liberally taking timeouts here. So we'll see. We'll see if that decision comes back to haunt them.
Well, they came out in a shotgun with 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. Definitely a formation that
unconventional.
You want to, perhaps they would try to pass out of or maybe use one of their men out of the backfield, but they're going to rethink it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they come out with now. Two and a half minutes to go in the first quarter. It's still 7-0 in favor of your Eagles.
BENSALEM's award-winning band is playing the Kingsman's Tequila. Everybody's having a good time here, and I think they changed the lyrics from tequila to BENSALEM. Very metrically similar words.
So the Eagles, with that the white jerseys with the blue pants for the first time this year. Nice look. Now they come out with 4 wide receivers. Evan Battaglio is lined up as a wide receiver, normally a tight end, so a more passing formation. And the snap never got to Ramsey. It looks like the Eagles have recovered it, but it's going to be 4th down.
Anytime there's a shotgun formation or a punt, the Eagles believe in the philosophy of excitement and risk. And their belief in the excitement and risk philosophy has sometimes, as it did in the Cheltenham game, doomed them to frustration and despair.
And now it happens on a punt as well. Ian Hammer's in some real trouble. Now he kicks it away. Ian Hammer getting out of trouble. He gets off an okay kick, so Ian Hammer really saved that play. That could have been bad as the snap short-hopped him. He fielded it like a shortstop would, runs away from the defenders, and then boots it away. Solid job by Ian Hammer. That was a little too exciting, as you were talking about on the shotgun formation. Well, we've seen it at times in the punt formation, too, and that was a clear example of it.
Hammer is a true hero in every sense of the word. That reminded me of Rambo, how he would run into the thick of the Russian offense, and he would just, in true manly fashion, seize any opportunity at his disposal and make the best of it. Ian Hammer, you are Rambo. The man move of the game right there, Ian Hammer.
I thought he was just going to cover it up and take what he could get and cut his losses, but BENSALEM taking over inside their own 30. So Ian Hammer, heck of a job right there. And now BENSALEM come out in a shotgun formation with 4 wide receivers. They look to pass as they have a lot early in this game. It's caught by Lewis Vincent. And he goes up, picks up only about 5, but nice looking play from Vogelai to Vincent.
Some suspect tackling there. You're trying that shoestring tackle. That's not a move you want to try too often. You want to hit, you want to wrap up, you want to drive. So a little more of a pickup there than the Eagles would have liked to give up.
Vogelai under center. The other Vogelai is in the slot as a wide receiver, being covered by Dinolfi. That's a matchup they've gone to twice, I believe, early. We'll see if they try it again. Play action. Vogelai winds up, goes for Davis, and he's got it. Roby gambled on the play, and Jerry Davis is gone, and we're an extra point away from having a tie game. Vogelai to Jerry Davis. Touchdown.
And it was the same thing that we saw earlier. He had a step on Roby, and I said, they're going to come back to that. And you said, yeah, they're going to come back to that. And somebody at the BENSALEM coaching staff's listening to us because they're back to it with same result. I mean, last time the only thing that didn't get, Roby wasn't beat. But this time, he was. Davis is fast.
He is very fast. It's no easy task running with, let alone ahead of Anthony Roby, and all he could do was flail his arm up at that ball and hope to tip it away, but could not do it. And it's the long touchdown pass from Vogelai to Jerry Davis, and the big play has accounted for both touchdowns. And the extra point's good, so we have a tie game on our hands. The BENSALEM Owls coming out passing quite a bit and passing aggressively going down the field, testing some very good Eagles defensive backs. You got Sheldon Mayer, Anthony Roby, but they have not been scared of them, and they get a touchdown off of it right here.
They haven't made a move against Mayer yet, but they see something against the matchup with Davis and Roby that they think is favorable, and definitely advantage Davis at this point as he gets the step on Roby, and he makes some nice moves, and he gets out in the open field, and he just beat him on that play. And as a quarterback, that's what happens. You're out on an island, you have one-on-one press coverage, and you're going to get beat sometimes. What Anthony Roby has to do is not let his heart not be troubled by being beaten on that play. He has to come right back. Still be aggressive, but perhaps be a little more cognizant of Davis's breakaway speed.
So it's only the first quarter, and already 3 different BENSALEM Fighting Owls have a catch. Relatively rare in a high school game, which is dominated by the run. Ron Vogelai has gone to his brother Tom Vogelai a couple times, but Anthony Dinolfi's done a decent job covering him. And of course, they haven't really tested Sheldon Mayer, no surprise there.
No surprise there.
But I'm surprised they're not using the running game more. And Cameron LaSalle, I mean, that was a great deep ball, and you got to keep throwing that in there, but Cameron LaSalle running up the middle, not really seeing it so much, even though that seems to be a weakness of the Eagles' defense. It's a ground ball by Jerry Davis, who also kicks. The other number 4, Milo Hill, picks it up for the Eagles, and he will get it up to just about the 40-yard line of the Eagles. So a nice return by Milo, and we've got a 1st and 10.
Yeah, 1st and 10 for the Eagles there. Milo Hill, nice little return. Ground ball, not a great kick, but they're trying to keep it away from Norristown's dangerous return men. And with what Norristown's been able to do, Kellijor, Mayer, and the rest back there deep for the Eagles, it's no surprise the teams are looking at this film and saying, we're not going to kick it to them. We'll give them the ball at the 40. We'll make the offense beat us, but we're not going to let them beat us on special teams.
So an I formation for Ramsey and his offense. They go to Mayer, and he stopped at the line, still fighting, but now he's down. And something to note, at fullback, Brennan Pierce, we saw him playing there last week as well. We've talked about it in previous weeks. You've had a lot of different fullbacks for the Eagles. They've put some speed back there with Kellijor. They've put some power back there and some blocking with Pierce. They've gone to a number of different guys, but at the beginning of the season it was Pierce, and now you're seeing him back again. So we'll see how that works out.
It's been a real inconsistent position for the Eagles. I mean, at tailback you have your stalwart, you have your guy, you have Sheldon Mayer, and as the first quarter comes to an end, I mean, it's worth noting, as you said, Mark, the number of people who've been in that fullback position. They thought they had something with Ron McMillan there for a few weeks, but that didn't work out. Ortiz, as I said, a big guy, much more of a conventional fullback, but he hasn't been getting necessarily that much time on the offensive side of the ball because the Eagles are looking for a little more speed. And at the same time, you need a short yardage threat. the Eagles have been susceptible to the short yardage threat of other teams. Ironically, the one time when they weren't really beaten by the run, it was the best running back in the area with Josh Mastromato, who was unable to get anything rolling against the Eagles. So it's bizarre that the Eagles were able to shut him down with such great success, but also they've been really susceptible to short yardage backs, big backs who just abused the interior of that Eagles defense.
And it just goes back to what we were talking about earlier, about how inconsistent they are and how one minute they look like, wow, this team could go undefeated. And the next minute, you wonder how they won 4 games. And I mean, Upper Dublin, a team that's in action tonight in a playoff game as a 5 seed, one of the best teams in the area, and they'd be higher than a 5 seed if they didn't lose to this Norristown team by 8 points.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that 8 points belies the actual spread of that game. Just as last week's 34-0 game, it could have been 100-0. That 15-7 game against Upper Dublin.
As Kellersdorf gets a handoff, breaks an ankle tackle, and picks up about 8.
That game there didn't necessarily have to be as close as it was because Upper Dublin really could get nothing going against the Eagles. The Eagles handled them in every sense of the word.
That was definitely the highlight of the season for the Eagles. It's a shame they couldn't keep that up and build off of it. And here they are, just trying to win this last game, get to 500, and call it a season. It's been one of ups and downs, and hopefully they'll be able to build on it for the future. There was definitely some good things mixed in with the inconsistency and the bad things. Here's Ramsey, hands it off to Mayer. He breaks it to the outside. He's at midfield. He's at the 45, 40, 35, and knocked out of bounds just shy of the BENSALEM Fighting Owls 30. A good run there by Sheldon Mayer. He looks a lot better than he has in previous weeks.
He looks crisp. He looks like the Eagles. Offensive line is getting out in front of him, doing some damage, and being able to break some holes open for him. Good job by Sheldon Mayer on that play. Good job by the Norristown Eagles offensive line.
11 minutes and change to go in the first half, and it's a tie game, 7-all, as each team's gotten a long touchdown. For the Eagles, it was on the ground with Sheldon Mayer breaking off a 4th and 1 run up the middle. And for the Fighting Owls, it was on the pass from Ron Vogelai to the speedy Jerry Davis. And we stand at 7-7.
Another official timeout. A lot of official timeouts today. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why there's so many. Maybe an equipment malfunction.
We've had a couple of measurements. Teams have been taking a lot of timeouts, so we got a relatively slow-moving game thus far. So the Eagles come out in their usual I form with Good and Roby split out wide. Mayer in the backfield, along with Kellersdorf, by the way. And now here's a deep ball thrown for Good, and it's overthrown. Good could not get to it, and it'll be 3rd down.
Yeah, well overthrown on that play. Just unable to get it to Good. Good was well covered on the play, too. So it's likely the BENSALEM defender would have had a play on the ball.
It's actually now 2nd down. That was as they tried the deep ball on 1st and 10. Not a bad idea. So now they got Roby and Good both far side as they line up on the right hash. Kellersdorf, once again the fullback, he gets the handoff, and he picks up about 3. And it's hard to even call it a fullback because they use that position like a second halfback, because Kellersdorf certainly has the speed of a halfback, has the moves of a halfback, and he's very dangerous, and they have 2 real good weapons back there. It's almost a second halfback more than a fullback.
More so than a fullback, and unconventional. And Kellersdorf is not a big guy. He's 5'11", 170. He's tall, but he's not very big. He's not the crushing lead blocker that you normally associate with the fullback position. Although Kellersdorf is a good blocker, he's not plowing the road. So it's just an interesting way that these guys are used.
Mayer off tackle to his left. Breaks it away. He's at the 10, the 5. Runs past his counterpart, Cameron LaSalle, and crosses the goal line for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. It's 13-7 Eagles.
And no sooner had I finished saying that Kellersdorf wasn't plowing the road than he plows the road, by smacking one of the BENSALEM backers right in the mouth and springing Sheldon Mayer for that impressive touchdown run. Nice job by Sam Kellijor in the offensive line on that play, and great job by Sheldon Mayer breaking it up the middle for an Eagles touchdown.
So Ian Hammer will try to tack on the extra point. His holder is Anthony Dinolfi. And the kick is good, nearly blocked, but he got it in there, and Anthony Dinolfi puts down a nice hold, and he's done a nice job today because on defense, because the BENSALEM Fighting Owls are really spreading out the defense and going with 3 and 4 and 5 wide receivers on a consistent basis. And Dinolfi's really had to play some man-to-man, a cornerback-like position, and he's more of a safety type of a player, but he's done a real good job guarding one of BENSALEM's better receivers in Tom Vogelang.
Yeah, he has done a good job. He got beat by Vogelang on one, but that's because he was very aggressive. Nothing wrong with being aggressive. I applaud his decision to be aggressive. The only thing I would caution Dinolfi against is being too aggressive to the point where he's worrying about picks instead of worrying about defending the ball. Get the picks. I know it's the inclination to try to get that pick, to try to do something big and run it back the other way, but the first things first. You have to think about where your defender is in relation to you, where your wide receiver is in relation to you and the ball. Don't let him get behind you.
And we'll see if BENSALEM continues to go with 4 wide receivers and multi-wide receiver packages, because with Roby and Mayer being as fast and as good of covermen as they are, it's not a bad idea for them to test guys like Dinolfi and whoever else they may have to use to play man on these guys. But so far, they've responded extremely well. Here is the line drive kick. Hops at the 15 and fielded at the 10 by Cameron LaSalle. Finds a little bit of a hole, but he's brought down at about the 32-yard line. The special teams tackle by C.J. Douglas.
Good play by C.J. Douglas right there, closing that hole in a hurry. It looked like LaSalle had some room to run, but Douglas comes along and closes it up in a hurry. Very good job. The kick coverage team definitely has not been Norristown's problem tonight.
Well, they got a 14-7 lead, and we've had a relatively high-scoring game thus far. We've got just over 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. 21 points scored between these two teams. First and 10 for Ron Vogelai. Looking to the sideline for instruction. Play clock at 2. And now 1. And they throw the flag. That's going to be a delay of the game as he could not quite get it off. That's not a good penalty to take.
That is always a bad penalty, and you really don't want that there. Not a good decision by Vogelai, and a little bit of miscommunication between Vogelai and the BENSALEM coaching staff.
So they move back 5 yards. They're now at the 27.5. Again, not great field position to start this drive. Let's see if the Eagles' defense can capitalize. Here you see the 3 wide receivers again. Akeem Boyd is in the game to play some corner, and here is LaSalle. He picks up about 5 to the 40-yard line or so.
That was a great block on great block on the linebacker there, as LaSalle was sprung for that gain. Looked like he was going to have nothing, but then Norristown defense just got blown off the ball.
So Akeem Boyd remains in the game. They're going to use an extra defensive back, and why not with all the receivers this team throws at you? And LaSalle picks up another yard or 2. So apparently the Eagles aren't content with Dinolfi. I think he's played well. He's covered Tom Vogelai well when he's been on him. But Akeem Boyd coming into the game, and cornerback is his natural position, and they'll use him to stick, looks like Jerry Davis for at least this play. So it's interesting to see how the Eagles defense responds to all these wide receivers. Here's Vogelai rolling out as he does frequently. Now guns it down the field, and it's incomplete, and a nice hit on the end by Dinolfi, and it's going to be fourth down there.
Denolfi shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be jawing with the BENSALEM coaches. The BENSALEM coach wanted a personal foul on Denolfi. Denolfi's just got to go back to the huddle. He wasn't going to get a personal foul on that one. It was very close. He got there just as the ball did. But Denolfi's just got to go back and leave it alone.
So 4th and 2. And the Fighting Owls not going for it. So interesting decision. Playing out a little more safe. Sam Keljor stands at his own 27.5 to field it. And this punt's straight up in the air. It travels about 15 yards. Drops at midfield, takes a little bit of a Fighting Owls hop to the 45. And that's an ugly punt.
An unconventionally aimed punt, too. Aimed sort of to the side. I guess it's a little tribute to Australian rules football, a very famous sport from down under. And sometimes they've been rumored to kick that way. So I guess that was a little bit of a tribute. A bad snap by any objective measure. But he caught it off to the side and then did a little Australian rules boot.
Whatever it is, it looked kind of awkward, and it ended up going straight up in the air, not where you want it to go. So not a good result. 45-yard line is where the Eagles will start their own 45, 1st and 10. James Ramsey hands it off to Mayer. Trying to go outside, bounces off of a man. Oh, now he's hit hard and out of bounds by number 55. Jamal Walker with a bone-crushing hit.
Walker smashed him. That was a great hit there. Mayer had done a couple pieces of impressive running there. Even though it was only a 3-yard gain, Mayer still was able to make some people miss. But then Walker just came and smashed him.
He was hit hard by Lewis Vincent as well, but he just bounced off of him like a little pinball. So Sheldon Mayer with a couple of short gains, but some 2 huge runs that have resulted in 2 long touchdowns. So a very nice evening for Mayer thus far. And they direct snap it to Mike Good, and he is taking it far side and gets the first down and an extra 2 or 3 yards. So we saw BENSALEM direct snap it to one of their wide receivers before. The Eagles take a page out of their book and try it with Good, and it works well.
Very nice job right there. And as risky as sometimes the Eagles snapping decisions could be, that was a nice play going to Good right there. He's got a lot of speed, and he's able to make people miss too. So good job going to Good right there. I like the call.
Good job going to Good. Once again, James Ramsey lines up as a wide receiver. Unconventional approach for the Eagles. Here is Good again, leaping over a defender and picks up about 8. So the Eagles have really taken the Owls by surprise here, putting Mike Good in a shotgun in the quarterback position, running kind of a wildcat formation, if you will. And it's worked out for them thus far.
Yeah, they've said, BENSALEM can do it. BENSALEM can get cute. Now, BENSALEM has strayed away from the cuteness a little bit in a favor of more straight-ahead, like smash-mouth football. However, the Eagles say, you know what, 2 could play at this game.
And there's so many things you could do with that, too. I mean, if you still have Ramsey on the field, as they did there, you can run to kind of reverse and throw it, or you can just run it as they did there. There's so many different ways you can go, as now they hand off to Calajor, and he's only able to get 1.
Not much there.
I'd like to see in that formation, though. I think it definitely gives the Eagles a great chance to use all the weapons they have. But right now, it'll be 3rd and about 3. 6:44, the clock running. And we're now 6 minutes and 40 seconds away from halftime.
You definitely want to keep people guessing, as you said, Mark. So you want to do as much as you can to make sure that as many of your star players can get out in as many different formations and as many different looks as you can.
3rd and 3. Ramsey with a quick throw to Roby. He's got what looks to be a first. It might be close.
Calling it incomplete.
Roby unable to hold on, so 4th down. I like the play call, though. it's a pretty safe pass, and it looked like they would have had it, or at least been close enough where they could set up a short run on 4th down, which is not the worst scenario they could have.
They would have had it. It would have been close. I never liked that play call, as you know, but it's probably the right one there. This ought to be interesting.
So now they still need those 3 yards. They use Mike Good again. They snap it to him. To the outside, breaking tackles, and he looks short. So they trust that Wildcat formation on 4th down. So they use it twice. They use it on 1st and 2nd down. Not afraid to pull it right back out on 4th down. So that's going to be a turnover on downs.
I'm not a fan of that call right there, even though as much as I like Mike Good and as much as I think that he's a really, really swell player, I don't like that play right there on 4th and short.
Yeah, one of the greatest things about that is the element of surprise. When you've already run it twice on that drive, that element of surprise vanishes. So
Yeah.
doesn't work out for them. It's easy for us to question it when it doesn't work out, but nevertheless, turnover on downs.
Had it worked out, we'd be saying, oh, wow, he went back to it time after time, and it's really been solid. I mean, BENSALEM's unable to deal with the Wildcat formation, but as it is, they use it too much.
So Vogelai and LaSalle, they'll use Davis to fake it and then block for number 23, Tom Vogelai. So they run a little bit of trickery themselves, a little bit of a quarterback boot there, using not Ron Vogelai, the normal quarterback, but Tom Vogelai, his brother, and a wide receiver to run the ball.
That was truly impressive speed. That was truly impressive testament to Norristown's speed right there. You saw on that play how fast Norristown is. They had no one in there. Larry Smith, the defensive end, got sealed off, but yet the backers were all able to, with their impressive closing speed, get there to ensure that Vogelai wasn't going to get anything and, in fact, lose one.
Vogelai with 3 wide receivers and 1 running back once again. Takes the shotgun snap, rolls out to his right, throws it sideline, and it's caught by Jerry Davis, his 2nd catch of the game. Of course, his first one was that long touchdown catch that put the BENSALEM Owls on the board for the first and only time.
They've got a lot of confidence in Vogelai, and they're not afraid to keep going back to him, back to him, back to him. They also trust that Vogelai to Davis combination. So we'll see what they do here on 3rd down.
3rd and 6, so based on how much they've gone to Cameron LaSalle, which is not very much, you might think that they would not trust them to get 6. They might pass it here. Sheldon Mayer is lined up man-to-man against Jerry Davis. Worth noting, here's Vogelai with a tipped pass. Tipped at the line, I believe. It was intended for number 21, Khalil McMillan, and it'll be 4th and 6.
Nice defense there by Norristown. Now BENSALEM's going to punt, and Sheldon Mayer will be back deep for the Eagles.
This Eagles team has looked very good thus far. Unfortunately, just a 1 touchdown lead. But they've looked really good. Sheldon Mayer is being his first half self. Although you see a lot of 1-2 yard runs, it's the 50-yard runs and the 60-yard runs that make Sheldon Mayer who he is. And he's doing it tonight, and it's great to see.
Yeah, it really is. Like, Sheldon Mayer is back. This is his coming back out party tonight.
Bad snap. Nearly blocked. He gets it away. It's better than the last one. And it rolls. Mayer picks it up and now sprints down the sideline. And he gets it to about the 37.5. A little bit of a dangerous move, but it definitely worked out for him. Good idea by Sheldon Mayer, I think.
He faked him out as if he wasn't going to pick that one up, and then he was playing a game of cat and mouse with him that fortunately for the Eagles, worked out in Sheldon Mayer's favor, but it didn't have to. That could have easily been a fumble and taken back the other way. You time that wrong, you play that wrong, and that could be really bad.
If you're going to trust anybody doing that, though, it's Sheldon Mayer. And
that's true.
There was enough space between him and the coverage man that I feel that it was a wise decision. 4 wide receivers: Battaglio, Mayer, Good, and Milo Hill. They hand it off to Mayer, who was in motion. And he's got 10, 15, and there's a flag. He picked up about 18 on the play, but we're going to check the marker.
Looks like a hold. We'll see if this comes back.
5.5 minutes to go in the first half. I'm Mark Holodinsky along with Dave Fazzini. You're watching NASD TV.
It is a hold.
So more unconventional play calling. It's definitely been the story thus far. And it's the last game. Doesn't really mean that much. This is a great time to try some of this because if something works out, these coaches could store it in that playbook and bring it back in games to come next year and for years beyond. So, I mean, you don't really have anything to lose. You can really let it all hang out, as they say.
This is really the game where, yes, as you said, Mark, they're really going to try new things and have plays that you might not see. Don't be surprised to see reverses. I mean, you've seen Mike Good get the ball 3 times already, and you really don't see that. So it's obvious that Coach E.J. Smith is trying some new things tonight with probably some of the advice of his coaching staff, that they're just saying what works. Throw it to the wall, see what sticks.
Might as well.
Especially here on 1st and 20.
Captain Jim Gallagher leads his Eagles up to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 20. Sam Kellijor, the only man in the backfield. Now Sheldon Mayer coming in motion. And they throw to Good. He's got some space to work with and a blocker. He picks up the first down. He's still going down the sideline, and he's finally ridden out of bounds by number 23, Tim Farlow. And nice-looking play there as they throw it short to Mike Good. Give him a blocker. Give him a lot of open green space. And that's what Mike Good does with open green space.
That's what he does with green space. So he was out there, and he ran wide and free. Impressive run. Good job by Mike Good.
His speed and everything else that he does definitely going to be missed. A lot of seniors, including Ramsey, the quarterback. We mentioned Good. Fortunately, Sheldon Mayer's coming back, but a lot of these seniors are definitely going to be missed. 1st and 10. They hand it off to the fullback, and they pick up about 9. That was Kellijor. He's been, for the majority of the plays, he's been back there at that fullback position, or the second halfback position. So it'll be about 2nd and 3 after a nice-looking run by Kellijor. Another one of the seniors that who may be playing his last game of football, who's definitely playing his last game of football in an Eagles uniform. So good to see him having a solid game. James Ramsey between 2 backs in a shotgun. The lefty drops back and heaves it deep for Battaglio, and it's just out of his reach.
Battaglio had a step, and Ramsey's throw was just a little bit too hot. But Battaglio definitely had a step on him. If Ramsey could have got that to him, that would have been 6.
Maybe if that's Roby or Good, they get to that ball, but Battaglio, bigger guy, tight end, can block, can catch the ball in traffic, but doesn't have the speed of course, an Anthony Roby.
6'2", 240, Evan Battaglio, an 11th grader. He'll definitely be back next year. He was able to get deep there, but as you said, Mark, tight ends don't necessarily have that speed to get deep all the time on those routes. And at 6'2", 240, he's a big kid. Here
it is again. Mike Good lines up in the shotgun. Takes the snap and just runs forward with it. And he only picks up about 2. So for the 4th time in the game, the Eagles line up Mike Good as the quarterback and James Ramsey as a wide receiver. The first 2 times, they got 8 and 10-yard gains. The last 2 times, they've only gotten 2 yards. In both situations, they had 3 to go for the first down. So you might as well keep trying it, see if it can keep getting those 8 or 10, or if it's going to keep getting those 2 and 3. But right now, the element of surprise has been taken out of it, and it's been showing less promise.
Definitely the element of surprise isn't there anymore. Now it's a bit of a more conventional I formation. So we'll see what the Eagles do here on 4th down and 3.
Ramsey hands it off to Mayer, bounces it outside. He's in trouble, and he's not going to get there. So another turnover on downs. We've seen 4th down attempt after 4th down attempt. Some of them successful, this one not. And The Eagles had some good plays on that drive, but it doesn't result in anything. It's still 14-7 Eagles, and a turnover occurs.
Mayer had to bounce it out, bounce it out, bounce it out, bounce it out, and he wasn't able to get it done on that play.
So 3 minutes and 16 seconds to go in the half, and the Eagles' defense will come out onto the field.
Eagles defense is going to need to be a little bit more aggressive here, as trying to push, trying to perhaps create a turnover, and trying to widen this gap in this game, and not letting BENSALEM repeat some of this success in the passing game.
The Eagles once again with Ikeem Boyd on the field for some extra corner help, and Anthony Dunolfi playing where he plays best, at the safety position. More comfortable there, and he played well, as we said, at corner, but here he is more at safety. And they drop LaSalle there for 2. Just to get into Anthony Dunolfi a little more, you saw him make that play, being that center fielder, so to speak, making that one play near the sideline on the deep ball. And when he has to come up to the line and play man on someone, as we said numerous times, he's done a good job, but he's more comfortable back there. And Anthony Dunolfi is sophomore, another one of those, another part of that solid core of underclassmen that Norristown has. Here's Vogelai. Looking, and now he fires. Davis had no white jersey within about 5 yards of him, but he dropped the ball.
If you're Coach E.J. Smith and Coach Brian Kennedy over there for the Norristown Eagles, you can't be happy with that pass rush. He had time to sit down and prepare himself a picnic spread. Not only time to eat the picnic spread, but also time to prepare it. That was a shameful pass rush by the Norristown Eagles, and they just gave Vogelai all day.
That would have been Jerry Davis' 3rd catch. Vogelai has 1, and Lewis Vincent has 1 as well. Vogelai with time on the play clock. He's got a dozen seconds left. 3 wide receivers, but he hands it off. Met at the line by number 72 for the Eagles, Joshua Whiteley.
It'll be real close to a first down there. We'll see if Whiteley was able to bring him down before the marker, but no, they're not going to give it to him. It's going to be 4th and very short.
Well, he didn't need that much, but he didn't get it. So we'll see if they go for it. It appears they will. Not surprising. Now under 2 minutes to go in the half, the Eagles still with that 1 touchdown lead. And we got a timeout called by the Fighting Owls of BENSALEM.
Probably a sneak here would be the best option, although the last time they tried the quarterback sneak, it fell short. So we'll see if they try something that opens it up a little bit more to try to catch the Eagles napping and get that 7 points right back.
Yet another 4th down being gone for here.
Not too many people punting these days. With all these fourths and short, I'm not surprised, though.
And neither team's punt game has been very effective. I mean, you saw 2 mediocre at best kicks from BENSALEM, and the problems getting the snap to Ian Hammer for the Eagles, albeit he did get off a solid kick.
Very nice punt.
He was fortunate to do that with the way the snap ended up. But just another reason to support going for it on 4th down. So he's going to line up in a shotgun with 3 wide receivers. Pretty surprising for a 4th and 1.
Lot can go wrong in the old shotgun formation.
Not very much of a power running formation. Let's see if they go with some kind of a quick pass or a quarterback draw, perhaps a handoff. They're going to try to run it to the outside with Ron Vogelai, the quarterback, and he's brought down right near the marker. I think he got it, and he did. Ron Vogelai gets the necessary 1 yard, perhaps got 2. So a fresh set of downs for the BENSALEM Fighting Owls.
That's too much of a risky formation, though, in high school football. It's obvious that BENSALEM practices it a lot, and they go to it time and time again. And in fact, the shotgun formation is their primary mode of setting up, and it's their primary formation. However, that's risky on fourth down.
Yeah, it's relatively risky all the time, especially on fourth down, as you mentioned. Here they are in it again on first down. He's got Cameron LaSalle beside him, directing his offensive line. He'll roll out to his left. He's facing intense pressure, just drops it off, and it's an incomplete pass. They don't even give him grounding. So at first, looked like it may have been a fumble, but it did indeed go forward. Then perhaps the Eagles looking for a flag for intentional grounding. It's not there. So it's merely an incomplete pass, and it could have been a lot worse than that.
That was intentional grounding territory, and surprising that they didn't throw it on that play. He was within the tackle box, and he was throwing the ball forward in an attempt to avoid the sack.
And it did not cross the line of scrimmage, so I would suppose that merits a flag, but the officials disagree.
A very confusing call, or non-call, as it were.
Perhaps a receiver in the area. I didn't see anybody, but perhaps there was. Now Vogelai under center. Still, though, with one running back and three wide receivers. That's the personnel they've gone with for the majority of the game. At times, bringing in that fourth wide receiver. Vogelai with the quick pass to his brother. Vogelai at the 40. And the Eagles close in on him, but not before he picks up the first down and an additional 5 yards. Vogelai to Vogelai for 14.
Good play with the Vogelai to Vogelai connection yet again, and a pickup of nice chunky yardage. So with 1 minute 34 seconds here to go in the first half, BENSALEM is definitely on the move.
It's his second catch of the game, and it's 1st and 10 for BENSALEM. They're driving, looking to tie up the score. Here's Vogelai, steps up into the pocket, heaves it deep for Davis, and it's picked off. Anthony Roby picks it off at the 5-yard line, and the Eagles will take over there in a drive that showed a lot of promise for BENSALEM. Results in a turnover. Great play by Ant Roby.
Great play by Ant Roby, and they tried to go to the well one too many times. They had Roby beat the first time, failed to get it to him. They had Roby beat the second time. They did get it to Davis for the touchdown. They tried to beat Roby the third time, didn't work. Roby was sitting on that right away. As soon as he saw Vogelai drop back, he knew where it was going, and he made the pick, heads-up play. Good job, Ant Roby.
Great job by him, too. I mean, he was a culprit on that long touchdown pass that allowed the only score by BENSALEM, but certainly redeemed himself here. It's a great job to keep fighting hard out there and redeem yourself, as I mentioned. They hand it off to Mayer, and he gets about 4. So now is not a time for those trick plays in this danger zone near their own goal line. Although Mayer gives them a nice amount of breathing room. They're up to the 9.
Yeah, this is not the area where you want to get cute. You want to try to take as much time off the clock as possible, and maybe with your last play, go deep. But you don't want to get cute.
Just 50 seconds to go before halftime. The Eagles appear to be content with the 7-point lead. They hand it off once more. Mayer finds a seam, and he could not get past the second line of defense. And you know what? Handing it off to Mayer is the safe way to run clock and to do all those things. But at the same time, you never know when he's going to break one.
It also gives you the possibility of breaking a long one. Now you have some time if you want to be cute.
So we got another timeout on the field, and now that the Eagles are out to they're out to the 25, do you think that they should try and put together some passes and try and get this thing into field goal range or the end zone?
Well, they have one more timeout. So throw it to the sideline a couple times, see what happens, get out of bounds, then throw it across the middle and set Ian Hammer up for a nice field goal. I'd try it. What do you have to lose? It's the last game. You have 24 minutes and how many other seconds to play in this game. Go for it.
Well, the clocks are running now inside of 20 seconds, and the Eagles not showing a lot of urgency, so it looks like they're just going to run it out. Ramsey takes the snap, hands it off once more to Mayer, and he's swallowed up by the BENSALEM defensive line. That should take us to halftime. Clock ticks down to 0, and the teams will go into the locker room. It will be 14-7 in favor of your Norristown Eagles.
So that's the first half from Channel 28 Comcast. Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky coming at you from BENSALEM Memorial Stadium. We'll see you back in a few for the halftime show and stats and first half recap. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at halftime, and you can clearly see the Norristown Marching Eagles out there on the field doing their thing, strutting their stuff, banging their drums, and paying tribute to lunar exploration. The thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is the last game of the 2008-2009 Norristown area Eagles football season. I'm Dave Fazzini here with Mark Kolodinsky here at BENSALEM Memorial Stadium. We're watching the drum line go, blaring the drums, blasting the bassoons, and tearing up the timpanis. We wanted to pay a special tribute. Even though it was senior week last week, we think it bears mentioning again here tonight. Just go through some of the seniors who've given their blood, sweat, and tears to this Norristown Eagles football program for the last 4 years. Number 10, Sam Kellijor, and number 11, Mike Good, the stalwarts of that defensive backfield and linebackers. Of course, Ian Hammer, the kicker, Dasheed Goodson, Ron McMillan, Brian Schwartz, Darren Smith, Captain Jimmy Gallagher, Captain Curtis Haley, Josh Whiteley, who really has come on this year to play a very impressive season, Frank Carroll, number 80, wide receiver, Chris Johnson, number 86, and Rob Lewis. So these guys have really all played a big part in the Eagles season, and the seniors will be sorely missed. Seniors have provided a lot of impressive leadership, and number 15, James Ramsey, as the stalwart quarterback, really has done a good job leading the Eagles to bigger and better heights every week. And despite the fact that it's been an inconsistent and sometimes very frustrating season, us here in the booth, I know that sometimes we get a little frustrated with our Fighting Eagles. The seniors appreciate the job you do, and we realize that playing football, playing high school football, playing any high school sport is a difficult endeavor. And you guys decided to step up, step out, stand out from the crowd, and put your blood, sweat, and tears not only in the games, which are fleeting 48-minute, it happens every Friday night, but also, even more importantly in many respects, the practices, the two-a-days, and all of those things that go into forging a football team. So we wanted to pay a special tribute to the seniors. We appreciate the job you do, and we're sure that the Norristown area high school community appreciates it as well. And Norristown area is a high school. Norristown area high school is a better place because of what you guys have brought to this program. So we'd like to commend you for your 4 years of great play, and we wish you all the success in the future. So good luck to whatever you guys do in the future. Mark, back here, we've got a ball game to play.
Yeah, the Eagles will receive the ball coming out of halftime, and they'll have a 7-point lead as well. So these seniors that you talked about, they got to continue to play hard. It's their last game, and This is it for them. 24 more minutes. And we got a nice ball game here, too. It could come down to an exciting finish, so stay tuned.
Could come down to a very exciting finish, and BENSALEM has shown the ability to run with Norristown. That's one of the things that Norristown kind of always count on. They could always count on being faster than their opponents. Tonight, of course, that's not happening. Tonight, they found that this BENSALEM team, particularly number 4, Jerry Davis, is eminently capable of running every step of the way with the Norristown Eagles. So it's going to be very interesting to see in the second half how BENSALEM continues to use its team speed in fighting this dangerous Norristown Eagles team.
So the team's out on the field, getting loose, getting ready for the second half. And we will see if the Eagles can contain what's been a pass-oriented offense by BENSALEM. And meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, we'll see if Sheldon Mayer can continue busting off some long gains and playing a very solid ball game.
Sheldon Mayer has been very impressive, and Sheldon Mayer really has busted out of the doldrums that have categorized much of the second half of his season. We mentioned earlier in the game that Sheldon Mayer is in the 1,000-yard club as a junior, which is always impressive. And the third leading rusher in the area this season, a stat that's bound to increase and bound to go up after this week's game is played. So for Sheldon Mayer in 9 games to have amassed over 1,000 yards is very impressive, and a testament not only to Sheldon Mayer's speed, elusiveness, and skill when he has the football in his hands, but also a testament to his teammates, in particular those linemen, in particular those senior linemen, Gallagher, Haley, Darren Smith, who have all done a good job making sure that he is well taken care of. And those 3 in particular, Darren Smith, Jim Gallagher, and Curtis Haley, have done a good job, along with Josh Whiteley just coming on this year, in making sure that James Ramsey is well protected and also doing yeoman service, doing double duty on the other side of the ball as well. So they are to be commended and congratulated for their solid play.
Too often the offensive line play gets overlooked. And, I mean, you talk about all the weapons that we're going to miss. Mike Good, Sam Kelliger, James Ramsey. But they're going to miss Curtis Haley, Jim Gallagher, the rest of the line. Josh Whiteley's a senior as well, Darren Smith. They're going to miss them a lot more than it looks. And this team has a very solid core of underclassmen, as we mentioned, led by the Mayer brothers, Sheldon, the running back, and Shannon, who will be the quarterback next year, we assume. And, it's these, of course, there's been some rough spots this season, but 4 wins in 9 games doesn't happen by accident, and they put in a lot of hard work. And again, you mentioned every once in a while run into a tough game like last week where you get shut out. But, this team's worked hard all year and have made some good things happen.
A lot of guys coming back next year. I mean, you look at the Norristown Eagles underclassmen. You have Roby and Hill, of course, along with Denolfi, making up the cornerstone of a very, very effective and very speedy defensive backfield, along with Sheldon Mayer. So they've got a lot of their secondary coming back. They've got some linemen coming back, too. They've got Nick Bloomer coming back. They've got Marcus Robbins coming back. They've got Griffith Blake coming back. So as long as these guys continue putting in the hard work and necessary work in the weight room, they're going to be just fine.
We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here, but just looking to the future a little bit, the lone freshman on this year's varsity team is Shannon Mayer, and we saw quite a bit of him, a little bit more perhaps than we'd like to, because of course you want to keep James Ramsey, your starting quarterback, as healthy as possible. But nevertheless, we saw a lot of Shannon Mayer. What do you think of this young kid?
I think that Shannon Mayer has a heck of an arm. He's not afraid to go deep. He's got a killer instinct. He makes rookie mistakes. He throws the ball into traffic. He's got the proclivity to just throw it up there and pray and see what sticks. But, hey, I got to tell you that Shannon Mayer looks really good, and the Eagles are in good hands with Shannon Mayer next year. And he's got his big brother looking out for him, making sure that everything is all right, making sure that he can plow the road, as I talked about in the first half. Perhaps Sheldon next year will be able to take some of the heat off his younger brother. But if Shannon Mayer is half the player that we think he's going to be, he's not going to need anyone to take the heat off him. He's going to welcome it because he can throw the ball, and he is fearless.
And you mentioned he'll make some rookie mistakes, some freshman mistakes. But that's okay, because that's correctable. And he'll have a whole off season And you can't teach a great arm. You can't teach a fast runner who, like James Ramsey, that's what Shannon Mayer can do. He can run. And you can't teach those things. You can teach reading of coverages and awareness of the defense and making good decisions. You can teach some of that. But you just can't teach some of the skills that Shannon Mayer has. And he's not only coming back next year, but he's coming back the year after and the year after that. So we're going to have him for 3 more years. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch them develop. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these younger guys. And next year, this senior crop is going to be really good. So this year, as these guys come out for their final half of play, I've watched these guys for their the last 4 years. I've watched these guys grow from freshmen all the way up to seniors. I even coached them as they were freshmen on the freshman football team. So it's been interesting to see their development and see how mature they've become in their time growing here and changing as Norristown area high school football players. I'm very impressed with these guys, and I wish them all the best in the future.
So with that, we will start the second half, looking towards the future a bit. But got to finish out this half of this ball game. And as we said, we got a 7-point game with the Eagles in the driver's seat. And we could be in for a pretty exciting finish. It's been a fun game. We've seen a lot of trick plays, a lot of, they used the wildcat formation. You got some wide receivers in motion, receiving some sweeps, and a couple of deep balls being thrown by Vogelai and his offense. So it's been fun, and it's definitely been an exciting game, and it's still close, too.
Still close. Doesn't look like any team's going to blow this one out. And as the Eagles come out to receive, BENSALEM comes out to kick. We're going to get underway here in just a second.
You got Kelajor, Dinolfi, and now Roby joining them back there. And when you have that many weapons back to return a kick, that's when you get those short little squibs. Because not only do they have one guy back there to keep it away from, but they have 3.
You really have the potential for a good field position here. You either have good potential for a good field position because you don't kick it to him, or potential for great field position because you do.
So we will see what the BENSALEM Owls choose to do. Risk giving up a huge gain, or play it safe and give up a decent field position. Jerry Davis has been impressive at wide receiver today, and he kicks off as well. His kick. Kicks it deep. Kelajor, it's over his head, but he will flag it down. He'll pick it up at the 3, and he's brought down at the 5. So a little bit of luck on the part of Jerry Davis and BENSALEM as that kick eluded Kelajor, went over his head actually, and it just about bounced out of bounds. Even if it would have bounced into the end zone, they would have been 15 yards up. If it would have bounced out of bounds, they'd have been 20 yards up from where they are. As it is, not very lucky, and not much Kelajor could do. They'll take it at the 5.
The return guy should never let the ball get over his head. When the ball gets over your head, what you have to remember as a return guy is that's a live ball. It's not like a punt. It's a live ball. BENSALEM could have picked that ball up and run it right in for an easy 6. So Kelajor's got to not let the ball get over his head. Got to play with your head.
Ramsey with 2 wide receivers and 2 in the backfield. Gives it to Mayer, and he's able to pick up about 6 or 7, and it's been a little bit of a reversal here in terms of the special teams. The kick coverage has been very good. The kick return, at least for that one play, looking rather ugly. Usually we see it the other way around.
Usually it's definitely the other way around, except during this game where the kick coverage team has been pretty consistent.
So the ball lies at the 12-yard line of the Eagles. They have the ball. They have a 7-point lead. And they have James Ramsey under center surveying the BENSALEM defense. He hands it off to Kelajor, and he fights ahead for 2.
He'll be close, but it doesn't look like he picked it up from here.
So it looks like it's going to be 3rd and short. The Eagles, if they want to score a touchdown here, have to drive 95 yards after the Jerry Davis kickoff that went over Keller's head and ended up giving them field position at the 5.
The smell of funnel cake wafting through the BENSALEM Memorial Stadium. It smells so delicious.
The Eagles showing run with multiple tight ends and multiple fullbacks, but we have a pre-snap flag. Looks like the Eagles let the play clock run down a little bit too low, and that's exactly what it is.
A very bad mistake there on 3rd and short. That's one of the things you can't do. We talked before the first half about how the delay of game penalty is dumb and wrong, so you just can't do it.
So now a major personnel change as they shift from short yardage package to 3rd and 6 package. And that's a big call because now instead of just being able to plow it up the middle with some kind of a run, maybe a sneak, now you gotta, perhaps you have to pass or you gotta get a solid gain on the run. It's much lower percentage. The ball slips out of Ramsey's hand. Ramsey recovers it and is only able to get about 2. So I don't know if that was meant to be a pump fake or an actual throw. But either way, the ball slips out of his hand. I believe James Ramsey caught it, so that'll go down as a catch for Mr. Ramsey, but he would have liked to have it back nonetheless.
Either way, BENSALEM looks to get the ball in brilliant field position.
It'll be on Ian Hammer to try and do damage control in terms of field position. And he's going to be punting from inside his end zone. The always dangerous and speedy Jerry Davis stands at the 40 to return the kick. He has to back up the field at a good kick by Hammer. And a great play by C.J. Douglas, one of those juniors that we talked about at halftime that'll be coming back. And that's a nice kick of about just under 40 yards and a return of 0, maybe -1.
Fantastic coverage by Douglas on the play and great kick by Hammer. Hammer continues his really solid play here, having a kickoff that goes out of the end zone, having a brave Rambo-esque move where he just grabs it and runs into the thick of the defense, heedless of danger, and kicks it and gets that punt off earlier in the first half, and then right there with a nice punt getting the Eagles out of immediate trouble. And even though BENSALEM has really good field position, they don't have great field position.
So the Eagles with the nice punt, and here is number 34, Tom Vogelai, catching the quick pass and taking it up the sideline for a gain of about 7. So now deeper into Eagles territory, the BENSALEM Fighting Owls are at the Eagles 40. The Eagles show blitz with Calazar. Vogelai receiving signals from the sideline. Still got 10 seconds on the play clock. He's got LaSalle in the backfield, and he fakes it to him. Now throws it deep down the field, and it's tipped away beautifully by Akeem Boyd, but they call pass interference on him.
Yeah, pass interference definitely on Boyd on that play. He had a hand.
Yeah, we've seen some questionable pass interference calls in so far this season. That wasn't really one of them.
No.
Clear contact there. Good call. And unfortunate, Akeem Boyd getting more playing time than usual today on defense, in part because of the multiple wide receiver packages that BENSALEM presents. And a nice tipped pass there, but it doesn't matter because he had a hand on Lewis Vincent before that.
Vincent had about half a step on Boyd, so even though Boyd didn't need to get a hand on Vincent, it's natural to try because when you're being beaten, it's tough to keep your hands off the receiver.
And when you're being beaten, it could have ended a lot worse than it did. So
right.
We'll see if BENSALEM can capitalize. They're now at the 25 of the Eagles. Vogelai in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers all far side. 1st and 10. Vogelai drops back. Now he steps up into the pocket and he'll run it. He's to the 20, and he's out of bounds just inside the 20, and the BENSALEM Fighting Owls enter the red zone.
Nice run there by Vogelai. Very good job. Good heads-up play. Takes what he can get and gets about 7 yards.
So we've got 8 minutes, 49 seconds to play in the third quarter. Just 20 minutes and 49 seconds remain in the Eagles' 2008 football season. They hope to end it with a win. They've got the 1 touchdown lead right now. 2nd and 4 for BENSALEM. Vogelai drops back. Throws it for the end zone. A diving attempt, and it's incomplete. Intended for Tom Vogelai. And, boy, they go back to the pass once again, and nearly a pretty play, but they could not connect.
Very nice throw. He had his brother in the corner of the end zone. Just couldn't quite get it there.
So it's been a very dangerous trio so far. You got Lewis Vincent, Tom Vogelai, and Jerry Davis. All 3 of them are very dangerous wide receivers, and all of them have made plays in this game. Jerry Davis, the long touchdown catch. Vogelai has made a couple catches. Just moments ago, Lewis Vincent drew that pass interference call, and he already has a catch to go along with it. So dangerous passing attack. They fake it to Jerry Davis on the end around, and now Vogelai gets smashed, and he throws it up, and it's deflected away by Roby.
Good job by Aunt Roby on that play. He's not going to get beaten again. He has clearly learned his lesson from the Davis debacle in the first half, and he wants to play solid defense, and he's doing a good job keeping his eye on the ball and not letting anybody get behind him.
Yeah, he's redeemed himself and then some. He's been playing a very, very solid game besides that one play. And when a team passes as much as BENSALEM does, you're gonna get a long play or two mixed in there. Cameron LaSalle, the halfback, really not very limited carries, and that's rare to see in high school football. Normally the halfback is your go-to guy. You give it to him more than you throw. This is a throw for Jerry Davis along the sideline, and he slides down to 2 knees to catch it, and they convert on 4th down.
Shoddy coverage out in the flat by the Eagles' defensive secondary. Leaving the receiver all alone, wide open. Not really having much success covering the receivers out in the flat.
They wind the clock. We're just under 8.5 minutes to go. It's a 14-7 game still, but the BENSALEM Fighting Owls knocking on the door. They snap it to Farlow, who was lined up as the quarterback, and more mixing up of the formations. You've got Vogelai not in the quarterback spot on that play. He is on the sideline for that play, and they snap it to Farlow and pick up decent yardage. Now, Ron Vogelai comes back onto the field, replacing Farlow. I guess that's BENSALEM's answer to what Norristown did with Mike Good.
Injured Eagle on the play, that's shaken up. Looks like number 45, Brendan Pierce. A little bit shaken up on the play. Looks like team trainer Dennis Flynn will take a look at him on the sideline.
Vogelai in the shotgun on 2nd and 5. Takes the snap, rolls to his left. He's in trouble. Throws it for an open man, and it's caught, and running into the end zone for the touchdown is Khalil McMillan. And the BENSALEM Fighting Owls are an extra point away from tying this game once again.
Great play there by BENSALEM. Vogelai rolls to the left, throws all the way back across his body to the right, seeking the wide open man. Found him. Easy touchdown. Good call, very well executed.
And the Eagles put some pressure on Vogelai that time. First looked like he wanted to run. The Eagles have had a relatively tough time stopping quarterbacks running. We saw Brandon Gunn a couple of weeks ago against Wissahickon run all over the Eagles' defense. And they were able to contain Vogelai from doing that as Davis hits the extra point. And they're able to contain him, keep him from finding a running lane. But the coverage was not there. Khalil McMillan was pretty well wide open. And what looked like could have turned out in a sack or an incomplete pass ends up in a game-tying touchdown.
Robbins and Haley got some pressure on him that play, but it wasn't enough. Vogelai makes the nice throw across his body and across the field for the touchdown.
So with 7 minutes and 24 seconds to go in the third quarter, we've got a tie game. It's been Ron Vogelai, Jerry Davis, the rest of the BENSALEM passing attack that's gotten them to their 14 points. Vogelai with 2 touchdown passes, one to McMillan, one to Davis. For the Eagles, Sheldon Mayer taking care of all their scoring. He has 2 long touchdown runs.
And it's going to be the Eagles' ability to get Mayer back in the game, getting him to do some of the things he was doing in the first half. Unlike the Eagles' first drive, they're going to need to get Mayer on track here in a hurry.
Now here comes the kick return team. Let's remember that it was them who set up that touchdown, in effect, because by getting the ball at the 5 and the offense not really being able to get out of there, set the BENSALEM Fighting Owls up with great field position, and they certainly capitalized. So let's see if this kick return team can get it back together. They're very dangerous. They've been dangerous all season. Just one little slip up, and unfortunately, BENSALEM was all over it. They've got the 3 usual guys back there, Denolfi, Roby, and Kelliger, and they have Mayer, along with Hill and Boyd, up, and all 3 of them are relatively dangerous too, especially Mayer. The kick goes to Denolfi. He'll take it from the 11. He takes it to the 20, to the 25, 30, up the middle, and gets it just shy of the 35-yard line, and Anthony Denolfi with a good return.
Nice return by Anthony Denolfi on that play. And the Eagles will have halfway decent field position as they take the ball at the 34, and James Ramsey and company come out to see what they can get started here in the third quarter.
Well, the Eagles twice took a 1-touchdown lead. Both times, BENSALEM able to respond, tie up the game. But now it's the Eagles' turn to respond. The momentum clearly with BENSALEM, but we'll see how they respond. It's definitely important for them to get something going. You don't want to give any more momentum to them than they already have. You want to take it away. Ramsey gives it to Mayer, and he only picks up 1.
Not much there for Sheldon Mayer as he tries to go off tackle to the left side. Looked like the handoff was a little, something's going on with the rhythm of these guys. Not getting the ball quite back to them. The center quarterback exchange, which has always been kind of a mystery for the Eagles this season, seems to be going okay, but looks like there's something a little bit askew with the Ramsey to Mayer exchange. Perhaps not getting the ball to him as quick and crisply as he had the first part of the season.
Mayer lined up in the backfield, now motions out into the slot as a wide receiver, but they hand it off to Kelliger. He goes up the middle, and he slipped up and carries the ball into BENSALEM territory, gets to their 49.
Good job by Kelliger. Nice burst of speed up the middle.
So 6.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And they put the ball right at the 50. Ramsey under center. That's 2 wide receivers far side. He'll take the snap and give it to number 25. And he picks up about 4. So let's see if he can keep picking up a yard here, a yard there, and then see if he can break off that big one as he so often does.
It's the Eagles here who are kind of reversing the way things usually go in the second half. Usually it's teams ripping off big gains against them, running up the middle, grinding down the clock. Here, the Eagles reversing that a little bit, getting their ground game going, running it up the middle, and bringing it to BENSALEM, chewing up some clock here in the second half.
They are using some clock, so hopefully they can end this drive in points. Because if they don't, they're running down the clock and it's a tie game. So you don't want to give BENSALEM any kind of good situation in terms of having possession and little time left. But this drive's showing promise, so we'll see. They hand it off. It's Kelliger. Tried to get out of a tackle and ends up a yard short of a first down. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Kelliger's game's not fancy dancing. Kelliger's game is straight ahead speed. The more dancing he does, the worse off he is. He's got to go straight ahead, lower his shoulder if need be, and just go for broke. He is great breakaway speed, but he's not the most elusive guy in the world.
So they'll call it 3rd and 2. Ramsey running out wide as a wide receiver. I believe it's Good receiving the snap again. Good, running to the outside, follows a Kellersor block, and he breaks away. He's at the 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Mike Good. And that Wildcat formation that seems to be dead after initial success gets them a long touchdown run.
High School Musical 3, the most popular movie in the country now. Wildcat pride can be seen everywhere, not just in the machinations of the evil Sharpay versus Troy and Gabriella, but also here in BENSALEM Memorial Stadium, as Coach E.J. Smith successfully uses the Gabriella and Troy formation in order to score that important touchdown.
Big extra point by Hammer, and it is good. So it's 21-14, and that Wildcat formation so popular these days in the NFL. Now it's come to high school football, and it's exciting. I mean, Mike Good there. We know he has excellent speed, but the confusion that formation creates among the defense made that run happen. And another long touchdown run. This time it's not Mayer, but it's Good. And it's their 3rd rushing touchdown of the game. All of them have been over 20 yards.
And Mike Good does have some blazing speed. He just outran everybody, and it wasn't even close. In a straight-ahead foot race, Good and Kellersor win those matches every time. You saw Kellersor a few weeks ago with that 52-yard touchdown run where he just tore and left everyone 10 yards in the dust. Mike Good, you saw it right there. He just gets the ball and runs. Straight-ahead speed. These guys can't be stopped.
Yeah, he really burst out of there, and a couple guys looked like they had a shot at him, but then just like that, he was gone.
Turned on the jets and left them in the dust.
So the teams continue to trade touchdowns. According to the trend of this game, BENSALEM will score the next touchdown, but the Eagles hope to break that.
Let's see what Hammer can do here. He's been really good on kickoffs today. We'll see if he can continue that trend.
Hits it hard, and it sends Davis back to the 3. Another good kick. Jerry Davis to the 15. Gets past the man. He's to the 25-30. And hit out of bounds by number 60 for Shaquille Gray. So it looked like they had a shot at him at the 20. But he eluded the defender and gets to the 30.
That's not up to the horror level of some of the ways that the Eagles' kick coverage team had been playing earlier in the year. All in all, that was a fairly successful kick coverage. BENSALEM still got 70 yards to go if they're going to score a touchdown. So good job by Norristown, not entering the realm of lunacy.
Very solid kick coverage led by the booming kick by Ian Hammer. Here's Vogelai in a shotgun on 1st and 10. It is actually Farlow, and he's swallowed up. So now there's a late flag. Nearly took off Sheldon Mayer's head.
He flung the flag with violence.
Well, we'll see what it's all about as the play went for 0 yards as they snapped it to Farlow. Both teams trying to use explosive players, snap the ball to them, have them run. Neither team has tried anything really tricky out of that.
Face mask.
So that turns no gain into a 5-yard gain. It'll be 1st and 5.
5-yard face mask penalty against Norristown. Ball down at the 35-yard line.
5-yard face mask call gone in the NFL, but of course still alive in high school ball. And with 4 minutes and 4 ticks left on the clock in the 3rd quarter, it's the BENSALEM Fighting Owls trying to respond and make up a 7-point deficit. Here's Vogelai in the shotgun, dropping back to throw, steps up, heaves it over the middle, and it's incomplete. He intended it for Lewis Vincent.
He got crushed there on that play by number 78, Terrence Edwards. Nice play and good pressure.
So it'll be 2nd down and 5. If not for that face mask call, we might be looking at 3rd and 10 right now, but coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda indeed. And you were talking about the face mask penalty in the NFL. I vehemently disagree with the fact that they took away the 5-yard incidental contact face mask. Not every face mask is a personal foul. High school gets it right, pros get it wrong in this case.
Vogelai under center. He's been in the shotgun for the majority of the game, but he lines up under center here with LaSalle in the backfield and his usual trio of Vincent, Vogelai, and Davis as wide receivers. Here's Vogelai dropping back to throw once again, and he hits Davis over the middle, bobbled it, but controlled it. And Sheldon Mayer makes the tackle at the 40, but a big gain from Vogelai to Jerry Davis. That combination's been deadly tonight.
Again, no pass rush by the Eagles. He had all day back there, and Davis was wide open. Good play all around by BENSALEM. Poor defense by the Eagles.
So BENSALEM still chucking the ball downfield, trying to make up a 7-point deficit, but they've been throwing since the outset. They've had to have thrown the ball at least 3 times as much as the Eagles. Here's Vogelai with Davis in motion. They try to hand it to him. The ball comes out, but there's flags before the play, blowing it dead.
They're going to call a false start on BENSALEM on this one.
And that's a shame because it's on BENSALEM, but at the same time it saved them a fumble.
Procedure call against the out.
That's the second time they've had an illegal procedure call made when they're trying that dipsy doodle man in motion stuff.
Throw a delay of game call in there, and it's Owls that have taken a couple of ugly penalties. But their offense has been relatively successful, putting up the 14 points through just about 2 2/3 of a quarter. So just 2 wide receivers now for Vogelai. He has Tom Vogelai in motion. Fakes to LaSalle. On play action, Vogelai in trouble, and he's sacked. A number of white jerseys swallow him up. And he loses big yardage.
Larry Smith, Brendan Pierce, Darren Smith, Edwards, and a host of other Eagles. Beowulfian fury swallowing up Vogelai, spitting him out with the same invective that Unferth, when hurling insults at our Anglo-Saxon hero, he hurled it with such invective, but yet, in the face of Beowulf's overwhelming masculinity, he was incapable of doing anything, just as Vogelai was incapable of doing anything there in the face of such overwhelming oppression.
And then it'll bring up 2nd and 21. Vogelai with 4 wide receivers. The play clock hitting 0, but they got it off. Vogelai steps up, runs now, and he picks up about 12. So it'll be 3rd and a manageable 9. A great job there by Vogelai, realizing that you don't have to get all 21 in one play. Sometimes the offense takes a sack like that. They get frustrated. They think they have to get it all back in one play. They end up getting a 3rd and 21. Here, Vogelai stays cool, and now it's 3rd and 9.
Very heads-up play by Vogelai, as you said, Mark, and I applaud that decision. He didn't get greedy. He was almost sacked again. He avoided it, and instead of staying back there and taking the sack where it could have been 3rd and 30, he stepped up, ran the ball, and made a good play. Good job.
So like they did in their last away game, the Eagles having trouble stopping the quarterback in terms of running. Here is LaSalle avoiding some defenders, and he's up to the 20-yard line. So looked like the Eagles could have stopped him for a gain of about 3, 4 instead. A couple of nice-looking moves by LaSalle, and he's got a 1st down and then some. LaSalle looking really good on that play. It makes you wonder why they haven't used him that much tonight.
I know, it really does make you wonder why LaSalle's been like the very underused weapon. He does a good job there. He gets out in the open field. He makes some people miss. Nice piece of running. Nice play call by BENSALEM.
He's the 5th Fighting Owl to catch a ball today. That's an impressive total for a high school team. Vogelai under center. Now they hand it off to LaSalle. Still fighting for yardage. And he's down to the 1 and stopped right there. So LaSalle gets the ball in back-to-back plays and is very productive. Again, you wonder why they haven't gone to it more thus far, but perhaps they're starting to break them into the flow of this game to a greater extent at the right time.
They're definitely using LaSalle at the right time, and they're going to need him down here on the goal line. Both teams have been a bit sketchy when trying to convert their 4th and shorts, so we'll see what happens here.
First and goal from the 1, and a timeout on the field. It's taken by the defense, so Norristown spends its first timeout defensively. And this will be interesting because we know the BENSALEM Fighting Owls like to throw the ball. They like to throw the ball downfield, but now first and goal. It's a big-time run situation, and it'll be interesting to see what exactly they do. They do have a number of chances, though, so they have options.
I think they're going to try to run it. They're going to try a couple times to punch it in with the running game. But if not, they always have, as you said, the passing game with some unconventional options, like that across-the-field play we saw earlier from Vogelai. He's got a strong arm and the ability to make it happen. And BENSALEM's got the courage to make some play calls that other high school coaches might not make. So it would be nice to see the Eagles get a big stop here, but it is unlikely given BENSALEM's penchant for some wild and wacky stuff.
And Ron Vogelai can run the ball as well from the quarterback position, so perhaps like a play-action rollout or a boot of some sort. Although that's dangerous because you make it possible to be thrown for a loss. But it's just first down, so they got 4 downs to work with here, we assume. And they've got LaSalle in the backfield. They'll still go with 3 wide receivers despite being on the half-yard line. But here it goes, first and goal. Vogelai talking to LaSalle and the rest of his offense, making some at-the-line adjustments. Plows it ahead on a sneak. Only needs about a couple feet. Let's see if he got it. No signal yet. The referee digging into the pile to see if he got it. And he's in for the touchdown, a very late call. The BENSALEM Fighting Owls are now within 1, and they signal touchdown. Then the referee signal touchdown. And we got a 1-point game.
A very belated call there, looking to see where he's got his forward progress, but he did pick it up.
And that's interesting because a lot can happen at the bottom of one of those piles. But whatever the referee saw, it was enough to convince him that Vogelai broke the plane.
There's that Wisconsin fight song, indicative of BENSALEM's touchdowns.
Jerry Davis, the big extra point, and he got it. No, he did not. Jerry Davis missed it wide, and as good as he's been as a receiver today, he's made some real big things happen. That long touchdown catch where he beat Roby and the rest of the Eagles defense and caught the deep ball from Vogelai.
That could prove to be really big here.
As big as he's been, doing all those things as a playmaker on offense, that could do his team in. So we'll have to watch out for that.
Still plenty of time here to go in the game, but that 1 point is big.
Looked good from here, but I guess he missed it wide right. And now he'll kick off. And he's got to forget about that because he's such an integral part of this offense, of this special teams, of this defense. He's got to put that past him and play this game because without him, they're not going to continue to score as they have been scoring.
Yeah, without him, they're not going to continue to have that deep threat, so they really do have to put that behind them and just get back out there and play some football. Little YMCA, the village people out there blaring away. We got the band going, playing some inspirational music from the 70s to get the crowd fired up.
And here's the always dangerous, always explosive Eagles return team. featuring Boyd, Hill, Mayer, Roby, Kellijor, and Denolfi. Can't keep it away from all of them.
That's right.
Now Mayer and Denolfi trade places, and it's ended up being fielded by Denolfi. He fields it at the 20, gets to the 30, and he gets to about the 37. So an interesting maneuver there just before the ball was kicked. Denolfi and Mayer switched places real quick in an attempt to confuse the BENSALEM Owls and make it more difficult for them to keep it away from their most dangerous weapons. But ironically, it ended up being kicked to where Mayer would have been had they not done that.
Right, exactly. That's what was funny about that. Sometimes you can get too cute because, as you know, success walks hand in hand with failure. So what you see a lot of times is sometimes when you try to succeed, you end up failing in an interesting kind of paradoxical way.
Very well put. Mayer gets a yard. And the third quarter expires. And the Eagles clinging on to a 1-point lead. It's 21-20. The teams will switch sides. And 12 minutes left in this season. Both of these teams, the BENSALEM Fighting Owls at 4-6, and the Norristown Eagles at 4-5. Neither one will be playing next week in the playoffs or anything of that nature. But solid seasons for both of them. And now just a dozen minutes left in both of their seasons.
Some sort of senior chant, some pro-senior chant going on down there by the BENSALEM cheerleaders, providing enthusiasm and spirit for the seniors, making sure that they know that they are as beloved as the Norristown seniors. And good luck for BENSALEM seniors as well.
We're going to have quite a fourth quarter for you, so don't go anywhere. You're watching NASD TV, Channel 28 Comcast, Channel 45 Verizon. I'm Mark Kolodinsky, alongside Dave Fazzini. And we're going to have a great fourth quarter, as we said, so sit back and buckle your seatbelt because it could get exciting. We got a 1-point game, 2 very explosive offenses. The Eagles' rushing game has gotten them 3 long touchdown runs. And the passing game of the BENSALEM Owls has done the exact same for them.
Very close game, very tense, and these offenses, as you said, Mark, are very explosive. So Norristown's going to come out and look to deliver the next blow, but these are like 2 heavyweight punchers delivering back and back haymakers. So we'll see who can land the final blow.
Ramsey with 3 wide receivers, but he'll hand it off. It's Kellijor, I believe, and he's not able to get anything.
Kellijor is dismayed.
And we got two very different styles by each of these offenses. The BENSALEM Owls like to pass the ball. They like to throw it downfield. And the Eagles, totally opposite. They like to run the ball, and they get a lot of big plays with the running game, as well as being able to control the ball a lot. So it's not strictly a ball control thing, though, because when you have a guy like Mayer or even Kellijor, we saw a good break one off. When you have those guys, they're extremely dangerous, and it's like a passing game when they break off huge gains. Ramsey throws on the run and hits Battaglio. He's ridden back to about the 43-yard line, but forward progress gets up to the 45.
Mark, this is going to be a really interesting call for Coach Smith because he's going to have 4th and very short. So what do you do here? I guess you go for it with 4th and short as it is, but how you go for it is going to be really interesting. Do you do that Troy and Gabriella move again, or do you run it up the middle in a more conventional way, or do you bring on the punt team and say, I have the lead? What do you do?
Well, it looks like they're going to bring on the punt team, but if I'm them, you've been going for it on 4th down for a lot of the game with mixed results, and I almost feel that you should go for it because it's just a yard, and yeah, it's a risk, but it's even if you fail, you're only giving them the ball about 20, 30 yards up. That's big. And they direct snap it to Milo Hill on a fake, and that is eaten up by the kick coverage of BENSALEM. So thought it was interesting that they went for it all game, and now they're kind of playing conservative. And they end up being the opposite of conservative with the fake punt, direct snap to Milo Hill, and it didn't work at all.
That was the worst of both worlds on that play, because not only did you not go for it on fourth down, but then you did the fake and you ended up losing yardage. So instead of going forward and having the possibility to gain a few, you lost about 5 yards on that play, giving BENSALEM the ball in your own territory at the 39 instead of at the 45 or 46-yard line.
Yeah, and I like that they went for it because, as I was saying, yeah, you risk those 30 or 20 yards that you could get on the punt, but it's worth the risk of trying to pick up one. However, the play call part didn't work out so well. And again, it's one of those situations where it looks great when it works, and it's easy to question when it doesn't. Here's LaSalle, and he's able to get about 3. We talked about how the Eagles lack that power back as well. I always am a fan of the sneak, but the Eagles, last game of the season, relatively meaningless. And we mentioned earlier they're going to try a lot of new things, see if anything works that they can bring over to next year. And that's obviously one that you don't bring over.
Yeah, you don't bring that over. You leave that behind in 08-09.
But E.J. Smith and the rest of his coaching staff definitely pulling out the stops tonight.
They are taking risks and doing things that we have not seen from them this year. So I do applaud them for that.
Might as well. There's Vogelai. Rolls out. He wants to run. He's got the 30. And dances out of bounds. 21-20, your Eagles with the 1-point advantage. But just 30 yards away from a touchdown are the Fighting Owls. They don't call them the Fighting Owls for nothing.
No. In the hierarchy of violent birds, one would think that the eagles would have a distinct advantage over the owls, the eagle often being the bird that rips in with its ferocious talons and disembowels the little owlets as they're in their nest. However, tonight, kind of a reversal of fortunes. The eagles, while violent, are not violenter, if I may coin a phrase, than the owls, enough to make up for the vast distinction between the violentness of the birds, if that made any sense, which I'm not sure it did.
Farlow becomes a train and gets the ball down to about the 20. We've seen him receive a couple of snaps on some unconventional formations. Here, lines up in the backfield and takes a handoff with some power and gets 9 or 10.
And power running is definitely not BENSALEM's game, but they're doing it when they have to tonight with LaSalle and Farlow.
Tim Farlow, just 170 pounds, the 5'9" junior is, but looked bigger than that on that run. Just under 9 minutes to go now. Farlow again. He bounces off some tacklers and is pulled down by the shoes, tries to worm his way in, and he's down at the 1. So they try to tackle him around the ankles, and still nearly wormed his way into the end zone.
What a bold play. Another play call. They're getting into the High School Musical spirit, too, running that play up the middle. The Troy and Gabriella formation, getting in there and making some good things happen.
Again, with Farlow and LaSalle, both of them have looked pretty good in limited touches. I don't know why it's been limited. They both have looked pretty good. Here's Farlow again in the Wildcat formation. Takes the direct snap and dances into the end zone. Got a yard, needed a yard. And with 6.5 minutes, or 8.5 minutes to go in the game, the Fighting Owls of BENSALEM have taken their first lead of the game. And what a time to do that.
Very nice job there by BENSALEM. One wonders if that will come back to haunt the Eagles, that decision to go for it on that fourth down instead of letting Ian Hammer unleash one of his monumental epic blasts. But that's all for naught now, and the Eagles need to put that behind them and think about how instead they're going to get into the end zone.
The Owls going for 2. It is a 5-point game right now. Vogelai looking to pass on play action, and it is caught, but oh, he's in bounds for the touchdown. I didn't think he got his feet in, but the officials disagree with me, and it'll be a 2-point conversion catch for Khalil McMillan.
Mark, I don't like that call. Not only did he get his feet down, but he also didn't look like he had possession of the ball. Of course, the officials have a better look than we do, but our vantage point up in the booth was pretty good. And from where I'm sitting, at least, Mark, didn't look like he had possession of the ball, nor did he have his feet down.
I don't think he got 1 foot in, let alone 2, but regardless, they give him the 2-point conversion. Gutsy play by the Owls to pass it on a 2-point conversion attempt. But they trust Vogelai, as we've seen time and time again in this game. And as we've seen time and time again in this game, he's come through.
Yep, they trust him. He's come through. He made a big throw there, and that's what separates the good quarterbacks from the really, really good high school quarterbacks, the ability to make those kind of throws under pressure. A lot of pressure. The Eagles knew it was coming, and they couldn't stop it. Good job by Vogelai and company.
So the first rushing touchdown of the evening gives BENSALEM the lead. And it was a little bit risky going for 2 because, of course, going for just kicking the extra point would have made it a 6-point game. So they decide that 6, not much better than 5, and they go for 2.
I applaud the decision to go for 2 there. It was a gutsy call. You're at home. You want to win. You don't want to lose your last game, especially if you're going to be chasing that 1 point. You want to do whatever you can to make sure you come out of here victorious.
Davis kicks it off, and it's fielded at the 15 by Kalajor. Hesitates, tries to look for blocking, but there's not much there, and he only gets it to the 25. So it's 28-21 BENSALEM, and we've got 8 minutes and 18 seconds to go. And the Eagles' offense has shown a lot of positive things this game. So therefore, this 7-point deficit is certainly far from insurmountable.
No, the 7-point deficit for the Eagles, the way they've been playing this game, is just a drive away from being tied up again. However, they need to get off here in a hurry, and they don't need to be worrying about what they did last drive. Last drive wasn't good. They just can't replicate it.
So Ramsey will line up in a shotgun. Takes the snap. It's actually Mike Good, and he's going to run it. And he's going to pick up about 3. So once again, Ramsey, they put him at wide receiver. And like the BENSALEM Owls, they snap it to one of their skill players. Let him try and make some things happen.
Do you think they're possibly setting it up that Goody's going to throw one of these?
Yeah, I was thinking all game we've seen both of these teams using this formation, and there's so many things you could do out of it. I mean, the Eagles have James Ramsey still on the field. They could pitch it to him on some kind of reverse, or Good can throw it, or he can hand it off and they can use a running play. They're going to use the formation again here. Good breaks a couple of tackles and gets down to the 46. And I don't know, if you have success like Good's having running the ball, there's no reason to do anything fancy.
There's no reason to do anything even fancier. But yeah, certainly the idea of having your wide receiver under center is inherently in and of itself fancy. However, why get even cuter? Why have Good throw it when he's successful doing this? They obviously know, though, that they're not going to throw it with Good. So wouldn't that then be the perfect time to defy that expectation and throw it?
Yeah, I think it would be a great move. And they're lining up in the formation again. Let's see what happens. This time he hands it off. And they only get back to the line of scrimmage. So finally they do something other than just run it with Good. But
here's a pun. You ready? That was considerably less good than we've been accustomed to on the Troy and Gabriella formation.
Certainly was, and now with under 7 minutes to go, the Eagles are just shy of midfield. And I mean, especially, you look at BENSALEM using the formation. They take their quarterback, Ron Vogelai, who happens to be one of their best players. They take him off the field. The Eagles leave James Ramsey on the field. He's fast enough to hold his own out there at wide receiver, and having that extra weapon out there, they could have him come around on a wide receiver reverse and have him throw it. Here's Good. He's going to throw it deep for Ramsey, and it's picked off. So it's intercepted by number 34, Tom Vogelai. And, well, you called for it. You were wondering if they would try it or not. They do try it. It doesn't work out. And Good's season passing 0 for 1 interception.
That was a spectacular interception by Vogelai, that one-handed snag, ripping it out of the sky and pulling it into his own chest and then falling bravely to the turf. Really, really solid play.
Well, it's our last game of the year. We keep saying it over and over again, that they might as well try whatever. They try going good to Ramsey. Usually it goes Ramsey to good. This time they tried the other way around, and it was a little bit forced, I feel. And we're saying how much success they had with using that formation and just having good run it, so why go away from it? But they did, and you just knew it was coming when they kept doing it time after time after time. You knew they were setting something up. That's a huge turnover now. Just 6 minutes left. The Eagles need to stop badly. Here's Vogelai on a short pass. Falls to the turf, lunging forward to the 20. So puts a lot of pressure on the Eagles' defense as they now need to stop to stay in this. They're down a touchdown, and there's 6 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, they desperately need to stop here, and they need it quick. And they need it not just to stop, but they need to stop in favorable field position. They need to stop. A turnover would ultimately be the best solution, but no promise that's going to happen.
So if you're the Eagles and the coaching staff, what do you think of this Wildcat formation? Do you keep using it next year, or is it just something they tried and they're going to throw out?
It's something to try when you have somebody like Mike Good at wide receiver with that kind of blinding speed. It's not something you necessarily keep in the bag of tricks unless you have somebody like Good. They're trying it, I think, because I think they're kind of superimposing Roby and some of their receivers for next year over Good just to see if it's going to work out. But I'm not sure that I keep that one in the old bag of tricks.
Here's Farlow running it. He's pushed out of bounds at the 25-yard line, and that out of bounds, I mean, we still got 5 minutes and change to go.
Very, very foolish run by Farlow.
That could turn out a lot bigger than it looks now, because I mean, that saves the Eagles about a half a minute. And when they're on that last drive of the game, trying for that score with just seconds to go, Farlow might wish that he hadn't gone out of bounds there. And there was really no reason to go out of bounds.
There was no reason to go out of bounds. You go down, you fall down if you have to, but you plunge ahead and you manfully run ahead. You don't go out of bounds.
There's Vogelai now back on the field, throwing and completing it to Davis, and he's out of bounds. So...
No, Davis made the right decision there.
He did go
went
down,
right down,
and the referee does signal to wind the clock. So a very astute play by Jerry Davis. But it is 4th down, and now the Owls faced with a tough decision. What do you do?
If I'm the Owls, I go for it.
It's pretty bold.
If I'm the Owls, I go for it. I delivered a death blow. I'm at home. It's the last game. There's nothing to lose. You're a 4-6 team. What are you going to be, a 4-7 team? Go out with some pride.
It's a great point, but not good enough for BENSALEM. They're going to kick it away with Shadrach Cato. And now you're giving the Eagles and Sheldon Mayer a chance to return a punt, and that's always dangerous. They do not foolishly fake it, as it may have been tipped. Perhaps it was just a poor kick. Hard to tell from all the way up here. The bad news, Mayer doesn't get a chance at a return, but the good news, the Eagles get great field position.
BENSALEM made a completely horrible decision. There's no other way to describe it.
If they went for it, the field position only would have been 10 yards better for the Eagles.
And they probably would have gotten it.
And it's a relatively high percentage move to do that. So the punt game and Shadrach Cato have been very shaky. And they trust it in this big situation, and it fails. Plenty of time here for the Eagles, 4:21, but they come out in a passing formation. Does not necessarily mean they will pass, as Mayer now goes into the backfield. Ramsey with an option. Goes to Mayer. He's got the sideline, and he takes it for a gain of about 15, and the Eagles call the option, and it works out very nicely.
Here's a question for you, Mark. I know what I'm going to say, but I want to hear your opinion on this. If you're Coach E.J. Smith and you score this touchdown, do you kick it or do you go for the win?
It's definitely a tough decision. I feel that I'll probably go for 2, just because the game's relatively meaningless. They just want to end it and Of course, they hope for a win, but I don't know if they feel like having overtime tonight, but we'll see. I would probably kick the extra point. I've never been a fan of going for 2 in a 1-point game near the end of the game. Here's Roby. He dodges some guys and looks to have a first down unless he stepped out of bounds first, but he did not. Yeah, I've just never been a fan of doing that. I say take the extra point. Take your chances in overtime.
I go for 2. I go for the win. As you said, the game's relatively meaningless. You're playing for pride. If Norristown loses this game, they're a 4-6 team.
Yeah, and if you go for 2 and you lose, you went down swinging at least.
You went down swinging.
That's why I feel that the Eagles will go for 2 if they score. But first, let's score, and then we can worry about that.
Right. Good point.
Here's Ramsey. Hands it off to Mayer. And he picks up solid yardage. So the Eagles on a big drive, trying to tie the game. Looking very impressive, responding to the pressure. And the other question, let's say the Eagles, they're nearly in that area now, not quite. But if they pick up a couple more yards and they get down to the inside, like say about the 5, do you worry about the clock or do you just try to score? Because you don't want to give BENSALEM any unnecessary time, but at the same time you have to score the touchdown before you do anything else.
Again, it's another one of those putting the cart before the horse kind of things. And you do.
Ramsey on a draw at the 20, dancing around, and he goes out of bounds, may have picked up a yard.
I definitely think his decision to go out of bounds there was not good. I know you don't want to get hit, but he's just got to tuck it and go down and stay in bounds. You don't want to leave time for BENSALEM.
Yeah.
You want to leave time for yourself, but it's not going to take you that much time to score. If you're going to score, you're going to do it within a minute.
Right, at this point, the clock will not expire with the Eagles having the ball. They're either going to score before the 3 minutes and 15 seconds is up, or they're going to fail to score, and they're going to turn the ball over on downs or whatever it is that, however it ends up. It's going to happen before 3:15. So anytime you save, you're saving it for BENSALEM at this point. Here's a wide receiver short screen type of a play. I know you hate that. And backed up by
Exhibit
that.
A, Your Honor.
And it's 4th down, so they face a do-or-die play set up by what you believe was a poor play call, and rightfully so.
The Eagles' season now hinges. Well, it doesn't really hinge on this, but their hopes to go into the offseason with a little more optimism hinges right now on this play.
4th and 6, 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Ramsey takes the shotgun snap, looking to throw. He's got Roby for a first down and for a touchdown. Anthony Roby scores the Eagles' first passing touchdown of the game. And we've got a 1-point game, and now that decision comes into play.
You say kick it, I say go for the gusto, and then see if your defense can keep them off the board.
And they're going to kick it. And now this is certainly far from a foregone conclusion. This is high school football. Ian Hammer's a heck of a kicker, but weird things happen all the time. Things can go wrong. We already saw one missed extra point by Jerry Davis. Denolfi with the hold. Ian Hammer's extra point is up, and it is through. We got a tie ball game with 2.5 minutes to go in the game.
Very, very exciting ending of the game here at historic BENSALEM Memorial Stadium with its 8-lane track. Interesting decision by Coach E.J. Smith. He ties it up. The conventional decision right there doesn't go for the win, but we will see how that ends up, and we will see whether or not BENSALEM drives down against the Eagles and scores.
Well, this has been one of, if not the, most exciting finishes we've seen. I don't remember having a tie game with under 3 minutes to go. This will certainly be fun to see. And it's a shame that it's a pretty relatively more or less a meaningless game. It's still great to see this close game, and for those of you that stayed with us, you're going to be treated to a very fun finish. And the BENSALEM Owls took the lead on their first rushing touchdown of the game after having 3 on the pass. And the Eagles, after scoring their first 3 touchdowns on the run, score their first on the pass to retie the game. Ian Hammer, ready to kick it off. He hits it on the ground, and it gets all the way back to the deep man. He can't get it. It gets past him, and now all he can do is fall on it, and they will take the ball at the 9. So what looked to be good field position for the BENSALEM Owls if they could have fielded the ball before it got all the way back to the deep man. But it skipped past them, then skipped past the deep man. Then he could not pick it up. So a series of ugly-looking plays. And now BENSALEM, if they want to try to drive to tie this game, or to take the lead, excuse me, they're going to have to go about 91 yards. And perhaps at this point, you just play it safe and head to overtime. But it's the last game of the season. These teams are really just letting it fly today. And the BENSALEM Owls love their passing attack. And Ron Vogelai, so I doubt they will take their foot off the pedal. Here is Vogelai. He's going to run it. And the Eagles bring him down to the turf after a 5-yard gain. The clock continues to run at 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So BENSALEM will look to... Well, we'll see if they look to hurry it up or if they just try to play it safe. Under 2 minutes to go now. No 2-minute warning in high school. Vogelai in a shotgun with 3 wide receivers. Rolls out. Now he's going to run it again and gets it to the 16. And that's not a designed quarterback run. The receivers are running routes out there. So although Vogelai decided not to try anything, the BENSALEM coaches are being aggressive here and not just playing it safe for overtime. They're trying to win this game. So it'll be 3rd and 3 with 1:16 to go. Here is Vogelai, drops back to throw, and hits his man. It's McMillan, and he has a first down. And there's 1:07 left to go in the 4th quarter.
With 1:07 left, they're really trying to score. So obviously, they want to try to win it in regulation if they can. Because in overtime, sudden death, anything can happen. So what you need to do here if you're BENSALEM is go deep.
Vogelai drops back. Now steps up. He's going to run it for the 3rd time on this drive. Being chased from behind by Whiteley, but he's brought down by Mike Good. And it carries some risk trying to drive for a touchdown. Because if you, as the Owls call it timeout, if you turn the ball over or in some manner, whether it be on a sack fumble or a interception, which is increased risk when you pass the ball nonstop and try to throw it deep. But at the same rate, they are deciding to try it and not to just play it safe and go to overtime. And I definitely respect that decision, especially with a quarterback like Ron Vogelai and his trio of dangerous receivers.
Nobody wants a tie. None of these seniors want their last game to be a tie, so they're going to really try, especially if they get a chance to come out in overtime. They're going to play hard and give it all they have. So all you guys watching at home on Channel 28, as Mark said, this could be quite the exciting conclusion.
1st and 10. 43 ticks remain in regulation.
Our first overtime game of the year, potentially.
Would be. $28-all. We've seen a BENSALEM pass attack that's been extremely dangerous. We've seen a Norristown running attack that's been equally dangerous.
Two very evenly matched teams who arrived at their conclusion in very different ways.
Vogelai rolls out as he's done all game. He hits his man. It is Lewis Vincent. The clock will wind. 34 seconds, 33, 32. Let's see if the BENSALEM Owls still hold out some hope of getting into field goal range.
That was a very stupid play. If they want to win in regulation, you don't do that.
They hurry it up here and come out with 4 wide receivers, still gunning for field goal range or perhaps a touchdown. Vogelai throws it deep, and it's through the hands of Roby, who could have had an interception. And as it stands, 3rd and 6 with just 13 ticks remaining, and the BENSALEM Owls face 3rd down.
That's what you do if you want to win it in regulation. You throw it downfield, you go deep, and you try to put it in field goal range. Now with 13 seconds, you really don't have that much of a shot unless you go deep and you get Davis on another fluke play like he did when he beat Roby for that earlier touchdown.
And you can see why it carries some risk, as Roby nearly gets an interception. But at the same rate, with 13 seconds left, if he picks that ball off, likely nothing will come of it. Of course, he is dangerous with the ball in his hands, but falling back on the play, here's Vogelai throwing it to the sideline, and Davis didn't really have a chance at it as it goes through his hands, but he would not have been in bounds anyway.
This is one where Vogelai is going to throw it as far as he can. So we're really going to see what this young man's arm is made of here.
Yeah, we'll see what they do here. It's 6 seconds left, and it's 4th down. So you don't want to turn it over with time left on the clock, but with just 6 seconds left, they got to make sure the play takes 6 seconds, which shouldn't be hard to do. And then if they somehow get maybe a pass interference or some kind of a lucky Hail Mary, then they take it. If not, we'll go to overtime.
We'll go to overtime. Overtime's always exciting in high school football because the kickers, their range just generally isn't all that great for field goals. So you really do have to score the touchdown or get in really close. So you're going to see good drives, and you're going to see teams taking some chances and trying to make some big plays because the overtime period's 12 minutes long, and you don't really have all that much time. You want to win. You don't want to tie.
Well, if nothing else, both of these 4-win teams have been extremely evenly matched, despite their extremely different approaches. So we'll see what they do here. They're going to line up with 5 wide receivers, and I think you're right. They're just going to throw it. They're going to heave it as far as they can.
You're going to see how far he can throw it. Denalfi's playing center field on this one.
And the Eagles have to be smart and just bat it down. Vogelai in the shotgun. Under a little bit of pressure, heaves it down the field. It is incomplete as 2 Eagles converged on the ball, and neither one could come up with it. It wouldn't have mattered because time has expired, and that's the end of the 4th quarter. Eagles 28, Owls 28. We're going to overtime. Stay with us on NASD TV. I'm Mark Kolodinsky, along with Dave Fazzini. We will bring you overtime. Star power with Vogelai, his trio of dangerous and talented wideouts, Sheldon Mayer, Mike Good, both with long touchdown runs. Mayer with a pair of them.